All right, it's go time. I hope you guys enjoyed the pre-show today with this guy dancing.
That literally didn't even happen.
If I promise that it's going to happen, and then I say it did happen, most people will believe it happened.
I was lying previously. If you were there for the pre-show, I was actually dancing.
There was dancing. Dancing did occur. And I'm sure the Twitch chat will back me up on this. I'm fairly certain indeed that that is going to be a thing. Did we change the name of our broadcast already to something that makes an ounce of sense?
Probably
unlike
not.
Cooler Master
Nope.
Live. Okay. Well, it would have been good to do that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention that weekly tech talk and news. Fridays at 16:30 Pacific time. I appreciate when you point out errors, but then actually make no attempt whatsoever to rectify
I opened a
them.
tab.
You opened a tab.
Yeah!
Opening a new tab. The solution to not wanting to do something now.
I did the easiest and shortest step on the way to the solution.
No, you did more
Wait,
than
how
that.
far did I get?
You opened
Did I
a
just open the
Twitch
tab?
tab.
Oh, I opened it and I...
You successfully highlighted the text that you thought then about changing. Excellent. So guys, we've got a great show for you today. It's actually been a bit of a slow week in the hardware side of things, but we're definitely going to talk about Razer's new Razer mechanical key switches. We are going to be talking about Firefox's $25 smartphone. Like $25. That's like basically like you can't go to like a chain restaurant.
It's like a SIM card.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we paid for our
think
T-Mobile
so,
SIM
yeah.
cards, I think.
Yeah, it was either 15 or 25,
It's
but
like
either way.
the SIM and the phone will cost the same. We've also got that in the EU, the regulatory bodies that be don't want free-to-play, which is to say supported by in-app purchases, to be allowed to be called free, and really are uncomfortable with the way that these are preying on children who don't necessarily understand the implications of upgrade now, or similar calls to action that don't say, give us your parents' money and then we will give you some intangible thing. Like they don't want that in there anymore. What else we got?
We've got an HTC M8 leak by a teenager who's probably in for a world of hurt coming soon, and actually I think already has been. But we'll see more about that later. Oh my god. It's pretty bad. Verizon is going to be charging gamers and streamers more for the usage of more internet. And this was apparently in the name of net neutrality, but we'll, again, talk about that more later. Haha! No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay, I won't make you guys look at that horrible
That
face
got even
anymore.
awkward for me, and I'm not even watching. I'm just like beside, and I was just like, wow, I don't know what to do right now.
I'm going to call that the Verizon face.
You should, next like big conference you go to, when someone says something really important, you should just be like, and just sit there for a really long time.
Well, they tried to brief me on the product. Okay, intro.
Oh man.
So there's an interesting new sponsor. Intel is one of our sponsors today, and they are actually going to be sponsoring us at PAX East. Our second show sponsor of the day is DollarShaveClub.com. Shave time, shave money. Don't slice your jugular open on camera. I don't know if you guys saw our dual graphics video, but we actually covered the benefits of Dollar Shave Club in depth. It took about 2 minutes, but I'll give you the briefer version right now. You get razors and shaving products, and actually you can get butt wipes as well, delivered to your door every month, and you save money compared to buying brand name products without compromising on the quality. So without further ado, what?
Hold up, with further ado, we should benchmark the butt wipes. We should release a video of bench. I did not prep him on this at all.
Hold on a second.
We should
A video of Okay, tell you what. Why don't we talk about this during their integration?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Or not at all.
You can. Well, you don't have to use. You could use.
What is
something
wrong
else.
with you?
You could use something else, and then
What
you
is
could get
wrong- okay,
other types
so I
of
make
like
a
wet
face,
tissues.
and he's like, "Well, I feel pretty uncomfortable right now." And then he's like, "We should make a video benchmarking butt
well,
wipes."
use some other type of material,
And I'm supposed to feel like I want to be in the same room as you. Okay, you know
and
what?
then other different types of wet wipes.
So our first topic of the today. See, I'm completely flustered now. In everyone's favorite segment, Better Than Bieber, there is some extremely cool research going on right now with respect to solar-powered blimps. Now, the blimps aren't necessarily going to have to be solar-powered, but we could be looking at a much less expensive way. I mean, solar power seems like the most feasible option right now, but we could be looking at a much less expensive way of enabling monitoring, enabling of the environment, enabling surveillance, of enabling, I don't know, I mean, something that wasn't really talked as much in the article as I would have thought it would be, but communications is a definite use for something like this. You know, internet coverage. I mean, putting transmitting and receiving equipment on something like a blimp as opposed to a satellite has some serious potential. I mean, up till now, blimps have been mostly like they fly around the stadium.
Advertised car tires.
Yeah. And
Goodyear blimp has been like.
the Goodyear blimp is the only blimp anyone ever cared about.
Yeah.
Other than like using the word as an insult for, you know, obese people. Like, blimps just are not used much. So anyway, last year, researchers from NASA, Caltech, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman, excuse me. You are butt wipes. Anyway, met to discuss the future of airships. Many believe they could be the future of surveillance and environmental monitoring, and they are planned to be anywhere from 8 to 50 miles above sea level. At that height, they could perform tasks similar to satellites while costing much, much less. The estimated cost of putting a satellite into orbit from the article on motherboard.vice.com was $1 billion. The estimated cost of putting a blimp in the air, once the wrinkles are ironed out in the technology, could be as little as a few million. So when you consider that, I mean, and then you consider other things too. On a satellite, you're going to need a better camera in order to get satellite imagery of the Earth, whereas if you could just put crappier cameras on more blimps, you could get blimp imagery, and it would cost significantly less.
Or even just the same, or not the same cameras, but the same quality of cameras, and then just get much better pictures.
Just has its own whole set of, you know, concerns. Speaking
That's
of
true.
concerns, aside from the technological limitations that are not allowing us to do this yet, there are political reasons why it can't be done yet with, you know, I'm sure Russia would be thrilled for the U.S. to have, you know, blimps.
I'm sure the U.S. would love having blimps all over the place.
Yeah, so
You
know,
just like actually, literally, just put the NSA logo on it, and just be like, "Yep, what you gonna do?"
So there's a long way for it to go, but this is extremely exciting for the future, especially as, you know what, it's not actually in the doc.
Maybe the Russians could apply for a new Olympic sport, blimp hunting.
Blimp hunting. This isn't in our doc, but this is a really, really cool image that was created by, image reveals, I think it was Yahoo News somehow came up with this or something. This was yesterday. Anyway, I'm going to screen share with you guys. I can't remember exactly what the details were, but check this out. This is a picture of every single satellite that is orbiting the Earth. So especially as Earth's you know, orbit becomes more and more crowded with junk.
What the heck?
Blimps could become necessary as much as just cheaper.
That's insane. I've never seen that before. I knew there was a lot, and like I always kind of wondered, like when they're doing these little micro satellite projects and stuff.
Yeah.
When they're sending like 100 up there, I'm like, how many things are actually floating around? And they always talk about like the space garbage, literally, that's floating around.
I mean,
like, holy cow, that's an
theory,
insane amount.
In theory, the orbits are designed such that once the satellite is no longer functioning or no longer useful,
it'll burn up in the atmosphere.
It burns up in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But
not always.
Extreme Networks recently. Okay, so apparently it was posted by the chief marketing officer of network infrastructure company Extreme Networks.
Okay.
Really cool, though.
That's the kind of stuff I like seeing, to be completely honest. Like, that's epic. That's really interesting.
I think we can all agree that even if you don't like seeing that image, it is more important than Justin Bieber.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and fire up this article from the
least
Chicago
surprising
Tribune.
thing ever. Although, careful, autoplay video ad.
Oh. I don't hear anything.
All right, you're good, maybe. Oh.
I'm amazing. Never
There we
mind
go.
good. I'm like a live streaming
Shiny purple.
shiny purple guy. What are you talking about? You are just determined to make it impossible for me to keep my show on track here. Don't make me fire you. It's been a while. So Radio Shack closing over 1,000 stores after an abysmal holiday season. So in the year 2013, I mean, this still leaves them with over 4,000 stores left, but in the year 2013, their loss, so they were already losing money, widened from about 63 million to about 190 million. I mean, can you even fathom a business that's operating that poorly as like a retail store?
We always kind of make fun of Best Buy and Future Shop.
We do.
Because we're like, oh, it's the showroom for Amazon, like blah blah blah, all these
Yeah.
things that everybody's saying essentially. But Radio Shack is like the one that sits down there below them that no one really wants to make fun of because it's just awkward. It's just like, oh yeah, it used to be a really big deal.
Yeah, like remember when Radio Shack was cool?
Yeah, like everything you'd get was from Radio Shack. Like I remember my dad got my brother and I this like remote controlled monster truck from Radio Shack.
Yeah.
It was just like the most epic thing ever. And if you needed to fix something, you'd go to Radio Shack and get your stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's like we sell phones.
So, yeah, CEO John I'm sorry. Whatever. He won't be there long, I guess. He took the job in February 2013. He blamed the loss on poor shopper traffic, which makes
Well,
sense.
yeah.
Intense discounting by rivals, which
Well,
makes
yeah.
sense. And tepid mobile phone demand, as well as operational problems. I mean, let's talk about mobile phone demand. I mean, I know we talked about this a fair bit on the show last week, but this is the HTC One. The HTC M8 is our mate, or whatever we want to call it, the 1-2. This is what we're going to use as our, knockout strategy. The 1-2 punch.
Oh, they should have done that.
I know,
They
right?
should have gotten a boxer for sponsorship
I
and
know.
everything.
They should have called it the 1-2. Anyway.
Oh my God. They missed out on that one.
So the One launched last year, almost a year ago. And the new one's coming sometime. I think there's an event, like later this month, like the 25th or something. They confirmed it. The One was head and shoulders above their previous top-end phone, which was head and shoulders above the one before that. The rumors about the 1-2 is stuff like
The one.
2 cameras on the back. Well, that's not even a rumor because of the leak that we'll talk about later. But
Yeah.
2 cameras on the back and like slightly bigger screen and like... Same thing with the S5. Like, what's really been improved here?
No one really.
It comes with like 50 pre-subscribed things, which we'll talk about more later as well. It's like, so where's the mobile phone demand gonna come from? So
And like
okay.
these are all things that being a CEO of a company, like you're blaming it on this stuff. Yeah, no crap. You should have figured that out. These are exact
Okay, but
things that you should have been worried about.
Tell you what, then, what else would Radio Shack have done?
I don't know.
Well, there
I'm not
you
the
go.
CEO of Radio Shack. This isn't my job.
And he's only been the CEO for like a year.
I know, but
to
he's
be
blaming
fair-
it on things that are not like. Of course, that's happening to literally everyone.
What else are you gonna say? Are you just gonna hold no press conference? Are you gonna not even talk to your investors?
Have some sort of plan?
What would your plan be if you were Radio Shack?
Don't know.
All right, fair enough.
You have to again. I'm not the CEO of Radio Shack. I haven't looked into it. I'm sure there's something he can do.
So sales fell from 1.17 billion in the quarter, or fell from 1.17 billion in the quarter covering the holiday season to 935 million in the quarter covering the holiday season year over year, which is just, I mean, if you're only selling 1 billion and you are losing 200 million,
That's a really big
I mean, that's a huge problem.
Like, it
I mean,
sounds like a lot of money, and you're like, oh, they're still making a lot of money, but that's not how this really works.
yeah, they're losing tons of money. They're losing hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, that's as if you had a store. Like, let's say your theoretical store, you had volunteer employees, and you had no rent to pay. That's the equivalent of buying dollar bills and selling them for 80 cents. That's what Radio Shack's doing. I mean, it's... I'll be blown away if they still exist in another year or two.
Again, speculations like that, like, I'm not surprised, but I expect them to last a little bit longer, just because they'll keep liquidating like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they can keep closing stores
Yeah.
and all that, but...
I fully expect they won't matter even less than they already don't matter.
And, like, you gotta wonder who still
year or two.
owns shares in a company like that.
Yeah.
Like, what future does someone see?
What are you doing?
Maybe it's just people who have, like, diverse stock portfolios, and they just sort of... Because people do
If
this.
one of the sections dies,
Yeah.
it's not really that important.
Where they don't think about it much. They just kind of invest in everything, and then don't look at it anymore. And some of the stuff will do really well, and some will do poorly, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to our next story, Firefox smartphone. So there's a hands-on review from pcadvisor.co.uk, and I think the biggest thing to take away from this is that the overall impression of the phone is that it doesn't feel great. I mean, it doesn't feel like a premium smartphone,
$25.
but it's $25.
Like, what do you expect?
And it doesn't feel bad either. But
Which is surprising.
If you think about that, think about that. Okay, so like a toy from 5 years ago. Could you get a plastic toy for $25 that kind of felt like it had okay build quality?
Actually, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So if the internals have gone down in price to such a degree that now we can build a phone that has that toy-like good enough build quality, but has a super cheap set of internals that is...
Plastic can feel really good. Look at old Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the whole thing used to be like you could throw your SNES out your window, go pick it up, and it'll probably still work. Like, plastic can feel good.
So this is a collaboration between Mozilla and Spreadtrum Communications. That's the Chinese chip company that worked on the project. It is intended for emerging markets, although... You know, I actually see many practical uses for this outside of emerging markets. I mean, it's got basic functionality, so you can web browse. It's got Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, as well as Wikipedia apps already working.
I brought up earlier, actually, the cost of the SIM card, and that's actually because when I was reading this, all I could think about was when we were in Vegas and we had to do that crazy run for SIM cards, the 10-mile walk or whatever, because if we could have just bought 4 of these.
Yeah.
It's $100. That's cheaper than we paid for the SIM cards and additional funding on it. And if it just, maybe it was $35.
Yeah.
And it
like
came
if it
with
included a phone and a SIM.
Yeah.
And like your first 100 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there is a huge potential because I mean, clamshell boxed, standard phones. Like I don't think did they even ever do flips? Like remember those, right?
I think they did.
Anyway, so like standard clamshell, super basic phones that would like come with some prepaid minutes, and then it was like a pay-as-you-go plan that you were expected to use with them. Those did reasonably well, and for some people, that's as much as they would ever need. If you could have a smartphone at that price point, I think there is a definite market for it, aside from drug dealers.
And there's a lot of people. My dad is actually in that situation right now, where he's in a long plan.
Where he's a drug dealer?
No, where he's in a.
I mean, drug dealers got to check their emails too. Got to be on that Twitter.
He's in a long plan, and his phone dies.
Right.
He doesn't want to buy a new phone when he's just going to be on another contract in 5 months.
Right.
So he goes and buys. He bought a clamshell-based smartphone, and then just ripped the SIM out and put his in.
Right.
That was what he did.
So it's just like a stopgap solution.
Yeah,
although,
it's a crappy, much older version of a smartphone, but...
I mean, I don't think the intention of a product like this, I mean, you look at
but
the ideals of the Mozilla Foundation, do they want to create a bunch more e-waste?
No.
No.
I'm just saying you could.
But people could find this useful.
And in emerging markets, those are examples that I'm seeing in North America.
Yeah.
In emerging markets, this makes a ton of sense. If it's going to be $25 and still be able to do all this stuff, that's awesome.
So it's got 128 megs of RAM, a 1.2 gigahertz A5 processor, 3.5-inch HVGA, so that's half a VGA, 480 by 320 display, 2 gigs of storage, and a 0.3 megapixel camera. So I think 0.3 megapixels is 640 by 480. No. I think that's like 2.3 megapixels. Okay, I can't remember anymore.
It's not that awesome.
Yeah, it's not super awesome.
But like in comparison to Apple's whole idea of cheap phones in India, what was it, like $250 for an iPhone 4 or something?
It's more than that.
It was something stupid.
Yeah, I think it's like close to 300 or like 350 or something like that. And like the Moto G comes in and it's like whoop on Apple.
But then isn't Moto G even like $150 or something?
Moto G is 180 still.
180
Yeah.
bucks. So this completely destroys it. Of course, it's not nearly as good.
Yeah.
But it's
whereas the Moto G
$25.
is a truly current generation smartphone
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Like that you feel like it's still very strong. Whereas this is like
And this would be a
Super
lot
basic.
easier again for a non-emerging markets idea.
But,
If you're sure you're gonna get your kid a phone.
you live in India, you got to reach like your grandma who doesn't give any cares about like, Hulu or whatever. It's great.
Well, you live anywhere and you want to give your grandma a phone.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Not a terrible idea.
All right, so this was brought up to me by a viewer because we didn't have like a concise list of the features of Telegram last week. I actually haven't had a look throughout the week to see how they're doing in terms of signups.
A lot better. I haven't seen exact numbers, but apparently, like,
Kind of a big deal,
things
eh?
are good. Yeah, things are going good.
So here are the features. I haven't personally switched to it. I don't actually use WhatsApp either because I'm old. SMS.
I actually use
Hey
BBM.
kids, I've got my SMS I'm gonna use to message people because my phone plan is unlimited, so I don't really care. I don't know.
I love these caricatures. For one, the open one, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so it's private, cloud-based, fast, distributed, so their servers are spread worldwide. It is open, has an open API, and is protocol-free for everyone, is free. They say forever, but I really wonder, could we call them on it if they ever tried to charge? Secure.
Yeah, but they won't care, just like Google.
And then their whole thing with the security is that there's a message that gets sent between two completely, like, we've disclosed who they are and where they are and what time the message gets sent, to clients that if you can interpret it, they'll pay you, I think it's
$200,000 in Bitcoins.
in Bitcoins. And then there's a procedure for sort of how to claim it. Powerful, no limits on the size of media and chats, and the last one is we can do it, which isn't really a feature of
There's a few of these that aren't really
an app.
features.
But, yeah, not really features. But anyway, there you go, guys. If you're looking for something that isn't owned by Facebook to switch you and your grandma to, grandmas can use WhatsApp.
My grandpa uses WhatsApp probably better than I do.
Better than you do. How does one use WhatsApp better than another
I never
person?
have, and he was the one that was like, we should make a group. And I was like,
No way.
oh.
Your grandpa's such a badass.
He is, actually.
All right, so speaking of... Excuse me.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, I sneezed.
No, not that.
Speaking of
Topic.
badass, I know, this topic.
Badass. Everything in this just sucks.
I know, this is just a sucky thing for everyone. So this was posted by Dylan522P on the forum, and the video was originally posted on the YouTubes, and there's all kinds of drama llama stuff going on, but basically, this kid, just gonna...
I'm gonna mute it.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute it. This kid created a video about the new HTC One M8. It's like 13 minutes long, 12 minutes long, pardon me, and it's, it's showing Sense 6, it's showing the multiple rear cameras, it's showing software features. It's not very well done. It's not like a leak by a professional reviewer or anything like that. And the rumor at the time was that he probably knows someone within HTC and has gotten himself and said person into a whole lot of trouble. All HTC had to say about this initially was, we'll be in touch.
Which is like,
Oh, and we have your IMEI.
we have your IMEI and other info.
We'll be in touch. So allegedly, and I haven't actually verified this, but allegedly HTC has fired both of his parents at this point in time.
It's like really.
I mean, it's one of those things where, I feel bad for everyone.
Yeah.
I feel bad for HTC because this should have never happened. I mean, that is a fireable offense.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure it's in your employee contract here that leaking confidential information subjects you not only to being fired, but also to legal ramifications, and like I can sue you for damages.
And not only that, but I'm also under external ones due to whatever we're working on
Yep.
at whatever time. So I have yours and I have potential other ones.
Yeah. So like NDAs are a big deal.
Yeah.
Like I get people asking me all the time, "Hey Linus, when's Nvidia's new graphics card coming out?" And the only time that I can speculate on it is when I don't know.
Or when there's like someone else has leaked information, we can be like, look what they said.
We can say that. But we are not going to leak information because that kind of crap is a big deal. And that kind of crap gets your parents fired and gets the internet, what's it called? Doxing?
Doxing?
Yeah, where they'll just, the internet spreads your information everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff gets you doxxed, shows a picture of himself in the video. Seems to understand vaguely that it's a bad idea to be doing what he's doing because he opens up a messaging app and says, "Oh, let me shake it so you don't see my messages." Like, seems to have some concept of that privacy should probably be maintained here. But, like, I feel bad for the parents because, like, their dumbass kid just got both of them fired and
like,
potentially unemployable.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of thing is a real black mark on your resume. I feel really bad for the kid because he seems pretty young and must not have. Like, it's not even probably didn't understand the scope of like the importance of what's going on here, and like obviously didn't understand based on the fact that he made this video.
I'm sure he knew it was not a good thing, but there's no way he understood the ramifications that were possible.
Yeah.
Like that's. Yeah.
So I feel bad for him because I'm a father. I love my baby, but like I'd be pretty mad for a pretty long time if he got both me and mom fired.
This is one thing that sucks about the internet. I've done some stupid crap.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been kids at certain points in time.
Yeah.
They didn't get my name plastered all over the internet with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that now know who I am.
He was stupid, but the punishment
is insane.
Way exceeds the severity of the crime because of the internet and anyway. So leaked info, 2 rear cameras, micro SD card slot. Although that might not necessarily be true in every region. The one had micro SD yeah, it did.
The G2 in Korea had a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, the one was dual SIM. I actually can't remember if it had micro SD. I think it had micro SD in China. It's been a long time since I've cared. Yeah. Android 4.4 with Sense 6, and the battery stayed at 40% for 8 minutes with the screen on, although it might be not very granular in terms of how it measures it. So hard to conclude anything about that, but just a terrible situation.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know what?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
We haven't done a Twitter blitz for just general Q&A in a long time.
That's a good point.
Guys, hit us. At Linus Tech on Twitter. Go ahead and blitz us, and we'll go ahead and check out some of your questions in the next little while here. Oh, yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but there is now a link to the Linus Tech Tips store, merch.linustechtips.com. You can head on over there, and our store is on District Lines. We got some cool t-shirts, which haven't actually arrived yet, or I'd be wearing it instead of my Team OCZ t-shirt. That's like super awesome.
A relic.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay. Awesome. Apple CarPlay. I called it. Although I'm actually expecting them to do a much more integrated experience with an actual iCar at some point.
Yeah, that's when I first started reading this, I thought it was like Apple makes a play for cars, as in they wanted to make an Apple car. And then I started reading, I was like, oh, okay.
Not quite.
Still pretty cool, but not what I expected it to be.
Still very cool. I mean, this is what I have said and continue to say about Apple, is what's great about them is that they drive the experience forward. They integrate things. They don't necessarily invent everything, but they integrate things. And they've got a bunch of current partners, including Ferrari, Honda, Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz, and Jaguar. They have 12 more signed up, including Toyota and Ford. Like, major partners. This is going to be a thing.
Well, it's Apple doing a play for something.
Yeah.
They're going to get everybody on board.
It's compatible with Lightning-equipped mobile phones. It will be launching with OS 7.1 later this month. So it's coming, like, right away.
Pretty quick.
And you can get directions, make calls, send and receive messages, and listen to music. There's more app support coming soon. So podcasts, Beats Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher. But I think it's really cool.
That's awesome, because hopefully now that they're doing it, we'll get... Yeah, exactly.
We'll get something a little bit more open. I mean, honestly, I really like the Apple TV.
Okay.
But...
I like Chromecast.
Yeah, Chromecast is cool too. Okay, but hold on. The Apple TV came first, in their defense.
Yes, that's true.
I like the Apple TV, but my biggest problem with it is why the hell can't I install whatever apps I want on it, Apple? Like, just stupid stuff. Like, hey, we're Apple, we're really good at this integration and this experience, but you're going to have exactly the experience that we have mapped out for you. And so I'm really excited to see Google move towards something like this and better integration with Google phones, because with Google, we can expect to see all kinds of like aftermarket Dash add-ins that are well integrated with the system, although it might take them kind of a couple years to iron out the bugs.
And like you might be able to retroactively put them in other things that aren't like, because as far as I can tell, these are cars that will come with this, right?
No, I don't think so. So appadvice.com actually has a good article about it that's a little bit more in-depth than Apple's splash page that just says, coming soon. So it looks like, okay, so here, from pictures, I'm actually not 100% sure. You know what? I think you might be right. It looks like
because it's going to be some sort of like, either a dock or something that already exists.
I mean, it's possible that we'll see it retroactively outfitted into cars with reduced functionality. Like, for example, if just pressing your... Mind you, you need a lightning connector, so...
Yeah, there's like...
Yeah, it's not over Bluetooth. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, it wasn't actually 100% clear.
Yeah, I haven't read somewhere where it's like, this is how it works, but it just makes sense that it would only be in... like new ones.
There you go. So you'll hold down your voice control in your like on your steering wheel, and you'll be able to use Siri and stuff like that. You know, it actually okay. Well, then it's all of a sudden it's bothering me again, because if you need a dedicated device, why exactly do you need a smartphone to go with it then?
Yeah.
Like,
maybe because it could work off some type of API support.
yeah. I
So
guess
then
so.
if you got a new smartphone like in 2 years, could still, you wouldn't have to like have this archaic one that just like lives in your car. Because people have like I call them car pods, the old like big iPod that they still have from like 10 years ago that they just leave in their car. So maybe they're trying to avoid that.
I have a Creative Zen Vision M 30 gig that I actually just found the charger for, and I'm planning to put in my car so it can live there.
Car Zen.
Yeah, car Zen. So don't achieve Zen while you're driving. It's just the kind of thing we should just...
Should we answer that Twitter thing?
Which one? Yeah. Let's do our Twitter blitz. Really? Nobody tweeted us?
I have a bunch. And you're in them, so I don't know.
This is interesting. Okay, let's... Oh, there's the problem. Okay, I was looking at the faster thing. Harder, better, faster...
I don't get... Yeah, see, Forever Kyle Paul Hart.
Yeah, these jokes does.
So funny.
Someone says, I am new to watching this channel. Does this show up on your videos? Yes, it does. Do a switch to Linux for a bit, and if so, what distro? You know what? I'm not going to switch to Linux on my desktop, but I am planning to switch my media PC over to Linux as soon as SteamOS is done.
So SteamOS.
Yes. So
Debian.
Yeah, so I'll be switching to Debian. I'll be learning how to install things. I'm a
Are you going to do it command line?
Linux noob. I'll probably have to get you to show me the various ways, and then I'll decide how I'll do it from there.
Okay, so probably not terminal.
All right. Do you think it's possible to start with YouTube now with so many successful YouTubers making a living with it, or is it too late? I think it's possible. I think it's extremely difficult. I think it's more difficult than it used to be. But there are, even in the tech space, up-and-coming YouTubers like Barnacles and Jay's 2 Cents who are still small, but you can still be small and be up-and-coming. I mean, I used to think about it that way a little bit. Like, I'd look at someone like Sexy Phil, whose live show I actually went to last week, last Friday after the WAN show. I drove exactly the speed limit all the way to the theater where the event was being held. And it was really interesting for me because while I don't really follow SourceFed that closely or anything like that, it was cool to see compared to sort of where I am relative to him now and where I was relative to him when I started up 5 years ago and where I was relative to him, I think it was 3 years ago when he got the seed funding from YouTube and started SourceFed. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, if I'm 3 years behind, in 3 years, would I be happy if we were able to like tour live and do like cool demonstrations and shows, and if we had as many followers and as many staff, and like if we had all these processes in place, would I be happy with that? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. Like there's still potential for me to keep growing, and there's no reason 3 years from now that I couldn't do that. So if you were so I'm about an order of magnitude smaller than him. If you were an order of magnitude smaller than me, so you had like 70,000 subscribers right now, is there any reason you couldn't be this big in 3 years? And would being this big in 3 years be just as much of an awesome accomplishment? Absolutely. So there's potential, but you have to have an angle.
And it's real hard. And you're going to have to do a lot more work than you're probably expecting right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a lot more work than it seems like.
Even for us, starting up a new YouTube channel is kind of a daunting task. I mean, speaking of which, we may actually have some interesting things to talk about on the show today. Maybe we'll be letting our viewers decide what our next channel will be. Dun dun dun. But starting up a channel is a daunting task, and we can support it with another larger one. So, good luck.
I guess we move down more questions?
Yeah. Here we go. All right, Apple CarPlay, take a left onto runway 24. Well, we'll see. What do you guys think about DirectX 12? I think that it was definitely time that the sleeping giant was woken up and did something with DirectX.
Anything.
They have a live stream coming up where they're going to be talking about some stuff. I mean, I think Mantle's interesting, but the fact that it lacks backwards compatibility with anything, and the fact that it has to be specifically coded for when the game developers are going to have to code for DirectX anyway.
And it's still like kind of broken.
And it's still
doesn't
pretty
really
janky.
Work on like anything. And everything that has said like, yeah, we're going to release with Mantle has not released with Mantle.
Yeah, so Thief was a big one for me. No Mantle and no True Audio at launch. Anyway, I think DirectX 12, if it's not a complete pile of garbage, is probably just going to continue to be dominant. Is HTC One M8 your next primary smartphone? I don't know. I'll have to try it first. I don't even have one. Do you know why the 2420 Ti was discontinued? I think it's replaced by the Z. Expectations on 800 series, evolutionary or revolutionary? Well, based on that, we've seen Maxwell already, and this is a great example of why I can speculate, because I have no idea, but based on what we've seen of Maxwell already, the 750 Ti and 750 are like...
real solid.
Really good.
And really, like, on the overclocking side, was fun. That hasn't happened in a little while.
That hasn't happened in a while. So we
yeah.
saw overclockability, we saw great power consumption, we saw an evolutionary increase in performance, and that to me is a solid indicator that higher end versions of Maxwell will be similar. So
hopefully.
Let's hope.
Yeah. And there's even speculation that they're going to be more tuned for coin mining if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Speculation.
Dun, dun, dun.
I've read that around quite a few times.
Any plan to fix the wall? Yeah, at some point. I actually ordered like a 5'10" mannequin to dress in the Stormtrooper armor. So we'll actually just have a Stormtrooper like standing behind us.
Yeah.
So no, we're doing things. Will we be at Computex 2014? I am not planning on it right now.
It's a really big trip.
It's a big trip. It's extremely expensive. I haven't had any sponsors like come crawling to our feet telling us they really need us to be there and they really want to throw, thousands of dollars at us to make it happen. So yeah, I'm expecting Computex to be a big deal in terms of notebooks and in terms of CPUs and chipsets. But these are all things CPU chipset we'll have access to ahead of time anyway. And if anything, Computex last year interfered with us doing better coverage of the Haswell launch.
Yeah.
Because we had no time.
No
and
time
everyone
at
was
all.
launching graphics cards at the same time.
That was insanity.
That was just ridiculous. So we might just chill here. But you know what? This seems like as good a time as any to launch into our sponsor segment. And let's go ahead and...
But we'll be shaving our...
No. What? What are you talking about?
You were like, but, and then started, they can't see this, but then started typing in Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah,
so we won't be going to Computex, but...
Yeah, so let's move into our first sponsor here.
There we go.
We're not necessarily going to Computex, but we are going to PAX East.
PAX East.
PAX East. PAX East. All right, maybe you should give some more details because Intel is our big sponsor for PAX East, so we're going to be doing a bunch of cool stuff with them. And in addition to that, Corsair confirmed last night that they are also going to be sponsoring us at PAX East. So huge thanks to Intel and Corsair for making it possible. But why don't you talk about what the plan is at PAX East?
There's a few different things. One, we're going slightly early so that we can check in with the Cloud Imperium Games pre-PAX East event. So we're going to try and get some coverage from there if we can. We don't know exactly what's going to be happening there.
Don't we? Don't we have a hint?
We have a hint, but I don't really
We
know
can't
yet.
tease the hint?
We can't tease the hint.
What is wrong with you?
We can't tease that hint.
Is that not public information?
I don't know how legit it is.
Oh.
Because he hasn't said, like, these teams are in.
Okay.
So,
all
like,
right.
I don't want to be like, it's happening, without it actually happening.
Okay.
So there's possibly something really cool that might happen at that event, but we're not really sure yet.
Okay.
We're definitely checking out dogfighting. We will have dogfighting footage no matter what, because they said they're either going to have it at that pre-event or they will have it in PAX East. Robert Space Industries is also going to be inside of PAX East.
Does Michael Vick live in Boston?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry, you said you had dogfighting footage.
LOL!
Wow, that's not funny.
That's terrible.
I can't believe how quickly people forget about stuff like that. It's just like,
Yeah.
we just completely forgive celebrities for just basically being heartless, horrible people. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. So dogfighting, we were specifically referring to the dogfighting module from Star Citizen.
Yeah, so we're going to have coverage of that. Oculus is also going to be there, so I'm hoping that they're going to have some type of news as to why they brought down manufacturing for DevKit 1. So hopefully we'll be seeing something about that. I have no idea, but I'll be checking out Oculus for sure. And then, are we going to be streaming from the booth?
Not sure yet.
Not sure yet.
But we'll definitely be covering Intel's cool stuff there. So they're
Yep.
going to have 738 series SSDs all over the place. They're going to have some exciting gaming notebooks all over the place. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And then you'll probably do a bunch of coverage of the indie
Yeah,
stuff, right?
I was just going to bring that up too. As you guys seemed to like the most from PAX Prime anyways, we'll probably be doing a bunch of coverage from the indie mega booth. And that will be a focus this time so we can actually spend more time there, which should be good.
This also marks the upgrade of Team B to Team A.
Oof.
Because I will not be there. So Team B, Luke and Brandon, they will be the only ones going to PAX East from Linus Media Group. I'll be doing sort of like, like controlling the dials, like in the Hunger Games. From here.
PAX East is the arena.
Yeah. It's like, okay, let's throw a throng of fans at, Slick right now. And
You should do that. You should have you should coordinate. I don't even want to know, but you should coordinate ambushes while I'm on film or something.
That would be fantastic.
It's hilarious.
I wouldn't even have to coordinate it at this point. If any of you guys see him at PAX East, make sure you ambush him. All right, so we have another sponsor, and we actually had a ton of fun creating the integration we did earlier this week for these guys in our dual graphics video, which we're going to discuss in more detail because I felt like the video told the story of dual graphics and value graphics card shopping a little bit. but I still think there's a little bit more room for us to sort of chat about it. So Dollar Shave Club, this is a package of what looks like the kind of thing that you might receive from them. And we started talking with them, and I didn't really know much about it. I'd seen the hilarious commercial, but beyond that, I was like I didn't really know how much it cost, and I didn't know really any of the details. But the idea is that you sign up, and it's a subscription-based shaving service where they will deliver you once every month whatever particular tier you subscribe to. They've got a kind of hilarious sense of humor. So for their one-wipe Charlies, which are not for shaving, you don't wipe your face with them, especially after you've used them.
Oh.
So they're butt wipes for men. And okay, so it's right on their thing. Oh, yes, you probably know how to wipe your ass at this point in life. Below are just some helpful tips. How to use one wipe Charlies. I'm just like, really, you guys? It's freaking awesome. So they have 3 different tiers that are available. I'm just gonna go ahead and run over to my screen here. The Humble Twin, the 4X, and the Executive. So the 4X and the Executive, the objective here was to create something that was competitive with, or even better than the brand name shavers and razors and cartridges that you can buy in the store, except without the hassle of waiting around in the store for someone to go unlock the thing. Like, guys, feel free. Let us know in the Twitch chat. I'm going to be having a look at the Twitch chat. Do they lock the shaver, the shaver cartridges behind a glass case at your store? Because I've seen it. Have you seen it?
My skin is the least sensitive thing ever, so I've had the same razors for like over a year.
That is actually horrible. Okay, so...
And I don't use shaving cream.
So the other thing that was appealing about this whole thing is the laziness factor. Because... I'm sure you understand that the shaving experience is better if you have replaced your blades once in a while.
Yeah, I'm just way too cheap and way too lazy.
But being too cheap and too lazy is kind of the problem. So for, in the US, $6 a month, shipping and handling included, you can get a 4-razor blade that comes with a free handle the first time you order it. So that one looks like this. And then you get 4 new cartridges per month that you can swap on so that you're using 1 per week, which means whenever you're using it, it's actually sharp. They come in a little thing like this. You can get their shave butter, which has, you know, a bunch of ingredients like golden barley, organic prickly pear, cactus, and all that kind of good stuff. And then it is actually, I did use it. Like, I legitimately used it. I don't think we used the footage of me actually shaving with it when I did the integration.
Okay.
But,
and you used like the big Executive one, I'm guessing?
I liked the butter. And yeah, I used the Executive, which is still cheaper than buying them at the store.
Yeah.
But like 6 blades and like freaking... You know.
Well, that's the thing that always drove me crazy was like I'd go to buy more razors. And I'd be like, okay, well, why? Why is this so much money? Like, this should be the same as like... Not really. This should be just something you throw in the cart.
And in the US, the $6 or $9 a month includes shipping. So it's like once a month. That's your shaving supplies. Anyway, guys, if you didn't see the integration, okay, even if you know everything you need to know about Dollar Shave Club now, which is basically save time, sorry, this slogan, shave time, shave money. Then you should still check out this video, the dual graphics video, because this is friggin' awesome. I actually had Edsel. I think he spent like a couple hours on this. Because I think there's audio.
Is that the Hobbit?
Yeah, that's...
Sting?
That's Sting. So guys, head over to dollarshaveclub.com/Linus and check it out. It's available in Canada, the US, and Australia. All right, so that leads us pretty comfortably into our next discussion topic, which is the dual graphics versus other value graphics cards testing that you did. So why don't you open with how we initially tested versus the expanded testing that our viewers demanded?
Well, we tested just dual graphics, so that was our 7850K along with a R7 250. And then that was like, okay, well, we need things to compare it against. So we compared it against just Kaveri by itself, and then we compared it against a traditional setup, which is a non-dual graphics setup of those two combined, and found, okay, dual graphics is awesome.
It works.
It works.
Well, okay, awesome is a strong word, but we discovered that it works.
Well, within the confines of that test, it is fairly awesome. You see a really big improvement.
It does what they said it does.
Yes. And then as we were kind of finishing up and I was preparing to film and we were almost done, we talked about it and we were like, okay, well, how awesome.
Yeah.
If you were someone who was buying things on the market, you weren't like, I am buying these two things. What if you're buying a multitude of different things, you were shopping around? How awesome. So then we ran a ton of things. So the numbers you can see if I switches, those are kind of what we started with.
Oh, hold on.
That camera.
Yeah. Tiny us. There we go.
The Weenie WAN show.
So these are the initial numbers where we were like, okay, dual graphics works. Look at that. It's better than, just an APU and better than just a graphics card running on the CPU portion of the APU. So then we, were like, previous. Okay, so then here's sheer FPS numbers in Far Cry 3. And then here is a price to performance evaluation where we can see that running dual graphics, if you look at how many dollars it costs you per FPS, per frame per second, which is an interesting way to evaluate solutions because, okay, it's not always which one is the lowest one on the graph because something could deliver great FPS per dollar but not deliver a playable gaming experience. Like if you bought a potato for $1 and it could deliver you 1 FPS, that would be 1 FPS per dollar. Great ratio. Whereas if you spent $100 on like 7 potatoes that could deliver 30 FPS.
That bundle deal is terrible.
I know.
Those are really bad.
Okay, cucumbers.
Okay.
We can all agree cucumbers are great for all kinds of things. So if you bought the better solution that gives you a playable frame per second, so 30 FPS but costs much, much more, that's still probably the better one to buy. Okay, so back to the numbers. It delivered better value and higher frame rates, so we're like, yeah, that's great, in Bioshock Infinite and in Far Cry 3. Then expanded testing came along. So
all the numbers.
We added, and it's funny because someone commented on this video what Intel fanboys we are.
Oh my god, I know.
There's an Intel slant to everything that we do or something like that.
What?
And I was like, are you high? Well, no, I think what I said was, did you actually watch the video? Because the Intel solutions, the only Intel things on here are a 4670K that has the highest performance by like
a little bit.
2.5 FPS. I'll have to make us even smaller. Derp. Okay, so 2.5 FPS higher, and then the lowest performing solution with a $200 CPU running its integrated graphics and performing half as well as AMD's latest APU at $200. Okay, so anyway, we added a 750 Ti discrete graphics card because we had just done our review and we saw how fantastic that was, but not to appear as if we were just showcasing how NVIDIA is so superior to AMD, because it's not about that. We threw in a 260X, which is also an excellent value card from AMD. Then we were like, okay, well, let's keep testing the R7 250, so we keep those numbers in there. So we've got 3 graphics cards, one that is capable of running with the APU in dual graphics or Crossfire, and 2 of them that can't do it but are more powerful cards. Then we were like, you know what? Let's throw in more CPUs too. Let's find out. So we threw in the Intel CPU, and then let's throw in a last generation AMD APU, just for its CPU prowess, because CPU performance didn't change much, and it's quite a bit cheaper than the newer APU. And then let's throw in an Athlon X4, which is the same architecture as the last gen APU, but doesn't have an onboard GPU, but is extremely inexpensive. So the FPS numbers aren't really that interesting, except to demonstrate that with a discrete graphics card, whether it's a 260X or a 750 Ti, you have to have a seriously, not very powerful CPU in order to really fall below playable frame rates. Because, yeah, we got 60 to 76, so to 79 FPS, spending anywhere from, what was the 760K? Like $80?
A 760K was 90?
Okay, so anywhere from $90 to $200, you're getting, at best, a 50% improvement in frames per second. Okay, so we determined that, and then we determined that, okay, the dual graphics solution doesn't perform that well. Oh, but what's with that pricing? So then we moved beyond that and we graphed it in terms of FPS per dollar,
Not including motherboard.
not including the motherboard, which can be more expensive on the Intel side as well, and more expensive for newer platforms like FM2 Plus for the new APU as well. So check that out. The big winner is the 760K, the cheapest CPU on our list, with a 750 Ti, a value but yet gaming grade, so above $100 graphics card. And this is a big problem, because basically what happened was we went from being like dual graphics, that's kind of cool, to
Nope. Or in very specific situations, yes.
why would you buy this?
Yeah.
Because right now, Kaveri, and you know what, I can kind of answer that question. Why would you buy this as a strictly gamer becomes a difficult question to answer.
That's why I said very specific situations.
Because for non-gamers who are looking at content creation and who are interested in leveraging the HSA architecture of Kaveri, where you can, I mean, it can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like even loading up a folder in Windows, waiting for thumbnail previews to pop in, goes way faster on a Kaveri, because of the way the CPU and the GPU work together. But if you're strictly gaming, you're much better off to spend your $300 on a 760K and a 750 Ti and get way better performance. So there you go.
That was actually one of my favorite things I've done in a long time.
Yeah, that was fun.
So I found that to be really interesting.
Okay, let's go ahead and... Oh, are people saying that there's echo? I hope not.
I didn't see that.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's do a couple more Twitter
Someone
questions.
just said Slick loves bar graphs. Yep.
You didn't even know how to make them before you met me.
Nope.
Pathetic. Mind you, I didn't know how to like make a website, so even on like GeoCities, I never did it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't on GeoCities either, but that's because GeoCities was terrible.
Linus wants to know if he can take us out for lunch if he happened to pass by Vancouver someday. We've actually had quite a few people ask us about that, believe it or not, in the past, and I've always kind of said no.
But
Mr. Forcell, if you're in town,
yeah,
we'll take you out for lunch.
But it's him.
I know who it is.
Yeah.
I know how much he's supported us over the years. You're a cool dude, man. So we'll have some lunch. Maybe we'll get like free pizza with our order of something. All right. My 7970 runs at 95 degrees while running Furmark. Should I RMA it? No. Don't run Furmark.
Yeah.
Bam. Okay.
That card runs pretty hot.
Yeah. Should I add another 2 gig 7850 on the cheap or wait to buy Maxwell base? No idea. Can't comment on future products because we don't know. How long would you expect a new higher-end PC to last before it needs an upgrade or to be fully replaced? A lot longer than I would have said 3 or 4 years ago. The pace of innovation, especially on the CPU side, has slowed down. And the pace at which RAM requirements increasing has slowed down. I mean, I bought a PC like 4 years ago that I put 12 gigs of RAM in, and I spent, oh crap, it was $20 per gig, because that was when Aeneon went out of business. 12 gigs of RAM is still enough.
Yeah.
Whereas
Like
4 years prior to that, what did we have? 256, 512 was standard? So things have slowed down a lot. Have you ever spent all of your monies as a child? If yes, on what? No, I think he means like, have you ever blown like your savings?
Yeah.
My sister bought a trampoline once.
Whoa.
So that was an example of that. Saved up for like 3 years of allowances and bought a trampoline.
Whoa.
Let me try to think if I ever did it.
I did.
Did you? What did you?
My mineral oil computer.
Your mineral oil computer. Oh, yes. My first computer, same thing.
Yeah.
I spent all my money on my first computer.
Yeah, actually, my first computer wasn't even a mineral oil computer. I had to go down to Richmond to some place with my dad and like pick up parts from this little shop, and it was this huge ordeal. But that was my first computer, and then my mineral oil computer was actually my second computer, which I used a few parts from my first computer for.
I don't think I did it prior to that, though. Any videos planned on the GTX Titan Black? No.
No.
It's a Titan, except black, and a little bit faster.
A little bit faster.
Where would you be if there was no internet? Oh, wow. I don't know. Relaxing?
Probably with an easier life.
Well, maybe not easier. I like my job.
I do too.
Okay, it isn't easy.
I'm not
though.
saying I didn't like it. You can like things that are... I like video games on hard difficulty.
This is an interesting question. 780 Ti now or high-end Maxwell later? Titan Black not worth it. Yeah, Titan Black not worth it. You know what? I probably wouldn't buy a 780 Ti.
With where we're sitting right now,
780.
yeah.
I'd buy a 780.
It's such a good... Like, with that price drop was sick.
It almost never made sense at any point in time in the history of graphics cards, at least for the past 8 or 9 years, to buy the top tier card.
It's like the...
Basically just a way of showing that you have more money than you know what to do with. I mean, no offense to people who buy the top tier card. Buying the second one down or buying 2 of them has been the way to go. From a bang for the buck perspective, if you still really want bleeding edge performance, 2 of the next one down is actually usually more expensive, but that much more powerful running an SLI or Crossfire. Where do I see Linus Media Group in the future? Hopefully not in this office. And I want to have a team probably of anywhere between 10 to 15 people. I want us to have a lot more high quality and fun content, like the dusting out your PC video, tech quickie fast as possible, I think is a fantastic format for us in the future. I want to have more hosts and more scripters. I want to be able to pump out more content for you guys. And ultimately, I need the community and our sponsors to keep supporting us to do that. And that's the direction that I see for us.
Hopefully more Stormtrooper outfits as well.
Yeah. Like all the Stormtrooper outfits. Okay, so let's move on to our next discussion topic. This has been a fun show. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am.
Is it fight time?
No, I
fight
think
time.
we can all agree on this one because calling something free when actually it's just free until we make you pay to unlock the rest of it. Like, do you know how disappointed I was to find out that Angry Birds Star Wars lets you play through, like, the first 2 campaigns and then locks, like, the 3rd one? I'm just like, what?
Oh, like, I couldn't agree with this more. This whole thing happening. Like, calling a game free, because it's not... When
Here,
you say,
run through the whole thing. Like,
Okay.
what's going on here?
So the idea is that in the EU, they want to change it so that free-to-play games that have in-app purchases are not able to call themselves free-to-play games because they're not actually free-to-play. Because saying, what is EA's new thing? Dungeon Keeper?
I don't remember. Who cares? It's EA.
Whatever it is not really free-to-play when a massive part of the game is buying things, because actually being able to effectively play the game, you have to buy a whole bunch of stuff, or else it'll take you way too long to play and makes it a completely unfeasible experience. So they want to take it out because of a multitude of different reasons. One of them being children. It's a really big problem and pops up in the news every once in a while when some kid spent $2,000 on a video game on his phone.
Yeah.
On his mom's credit card.
I need more attempts in Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Go!
Yeah, I want to keep playing. This button allows me to keep playing.
Yeah.
That's really not good. And for a long time, really hated the term free-to-play. Because it rarely really applies properly. There's a few games that do it in ways that I find completely acceptable, like League of Legends, I think does it in a fairly good way.
Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2 does it in a really good... Any Valve game does it in an amazing way. That is free-to-play. Oh, ugh. So yeah, I would really want this to happen.
So, I mean, basically, I don't think there's any firm plan in place as to how they can do this, but the idea is that you can't use words like free if they're not actually free, and the accusation is that this causes financial harm to consumers. Now, I would make the argument that figuring out new ways to squeeze more money out of consumers is just an endless arms race, and there'll be something else in the future as well. And I would also make the argument that most people who download an app for free, expecting it to be free, they have a choice. If they discover that they don't like the free implementation, they have a choice whether they want to pay more or not. Like, I don't feel deceived because just trying to think of an app that I've actually bought.
But we are well versed as well. If someone who's not really into tech stuff picks up a phone and goes, "Oh, this is a free game," clicks on it, and then there's buy things everywhere.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the implementation. Like, I don't like the way Candy Crush does it.
Yeah.
Where it's like pay for more attempts. Whereas the way that Reaper did it, actually, have you played Reaper?
No.
Oh, it's actually pretty good. You got to play with a controller though.
The Android games that I play, to be honest, are all Humble Bundle Android games.
Right.
I have like 50 because I've just bought every Humble Bundle Android game.
So Reaper, I felt pretty good about. They let me play it for a little while. They let me get a good. It was a demo,
Okay. Oh, I like demos
and I unlocked it.
because
I'm
demos
paying for it.
make a ton of sense, and they're called demos. They're not called free-to-play games.
Right, but the demo app is not differentiated from the full app.
Okay.
You unlock it with an in-app purchase. I'm like, okay. But I don't feel bad about that. I don't feel deceived. So I don't know. There's that. Although one thing that I really feel very strongly is a great idea is they want developers to completely cut out any direct calls for purchasing in any title that is designed to appeal to children.
Yes.
Because children don't know better, and it's mommy and daddy's credit card that is going to suffer.
Just like the guy that leaked the M8 probably doesn't realize the ramifications, might possibly know it's not the right thing, but doesn't realize how bad it could possibly be.
Yeah, it's like when your parents tell you not to do something, like, I don't know, pour out the mustard bottle onto the floor of the kitchen or whatever. You're like, mommy and daddy said no, but I really want to. So you do it because kids don't think that far ahead.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of thinking far ahead, holy freaking crap. This, my friends, is one of the most forward-looking gaming concepts that, you know what, we're not really going to watch the video because, quite frankly, their Kickstarter video ain't that great. But these guys, that's basically the point. Skirmos open source laser tag only begins to describe the potential of this idea. I posted it on Facebook. I'm not backing the campaign. Even though I love the concept and the hardware actually looks like it's in a state where it's pretty usable. I'm not backing the campaign because I don't think these guys are realistic. I don't think they understand how little money $60,000 is.
Yeah.
For me, running a business with now 5 employees, Employee Search 2014 is sort of over. Sort of. For me, running a business with 5 employees, I will burn through $60,000 like that amazingly quickly, whether it's gear or payroll or now we have employee benefits. Like all these kinds of things cost so much money and they just haven't given any thought to it. At the bottom where they say the risks or whatever, their risks are they know that they don't know anything about mass production of something. And they're students, probably really smart guys. But it is a completely different world to use an Arduino, strap it to a gun, put like an infrared emitter on it and some sensors, and is in a completely different world to mass produce it and develop relations with a factory and quality
like what
control.
happens when you start getting RMAs and blah 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 blah.
So I'm not backing this, but what I really hope happens is these guys get acquired. And a company that actually knows what they're doing, someone like Mattel, is like, yeah, we're going to build this. Because for $100 and whatever dollars, they are saying they will get you $115. They are getting you a solution that should be better than laser tag, better than airsoft, and in my mind, okay, probably not better than paintball, but better than the other two. Here, do you want to... You haven't talked much today.
Better than paintball in the way that you're not going to get covered in crap. Because of the paint.
But that's what is so great about paintball.
I know, but it's easier to like
pain.
No, I know, but you could grab one of these in your house.
Oh wait.
Run to your neighbor's house and be like, "Let's play now."
Force feedback suits could turn this in because to me, the thrill of paintball is the fact that it hurts to get hit.
Yeah.
That it sucks to get hit.
Yeah.
That's what makes people...
That's one of the reasons why I don't wear tons of extra padding.
That's why laser tag is dumb. And I like laser tag, but it's dumb because you just run around. Hee, I got hit. Hee. Okay, 15-second cooldown. Hee. So it's there's no risk. Whereas this has so much potential. Okay, sorry. Tell them what it is.
Okay, so as he already described, it's a gun with an Arduino controller connected to it with an LCD panel. There's a bunch of different things that you can custom program scenarios essentially. So you can have King of the Hill, you can have Capture the Flag, you can have all this kind of stuff because it's a custom programmable thing. It's gonna get real awkward, I'm assuming. And things that are cool is you can have stuff like kill streaks built in. So if you get 3 kills, if your gun registers that you just got 3 kills, it could say go into stealth mode by turning off the LEDs. If you guys saw on the picture that he had on his screen, the guns are lit up. If you got a kill streak that put you into stealth mode or whatever, turning off your LEDs could actually help a lot. Or doing something else, like one of the stretch goals, I believe, is having the ability to have an airstrike, essentially.
Yeah.
There you go. So I see all these LEDs in the back and along kind of the rifling of the barrel, but they could expand this and stuff like that, but all the LEDs could turn off. Which
so you could load like game maps in,
yeah,
and it could like wipe out any enemy units in a given area.
In a quadrant or however it works.
Whatever.
Which is just so cool. And then because it's an Arduino controller, you can add on so much stuff. So you could have it where like maybe the headquarters for one of the buildings is done through NFC tags that are in the gun. So everyone that's on a certain color team can just like tap the butt of their gun on the door and then they can get in.
Yeah.
Like different stuff like that. It's really cool because it's an open system, so you can do whatever you want to it.
I mean, for me, it's not necessarily about this. I mean, this is cool. I mean, they've got the gun as the sensor, so you fire at other people's guns in order to register a hit. They've got a display built onto it, so you can use that for an ammo readout or any other pertinent information. All kinds of cool stuff, but really, the excitement to me is augmented reality gaming with something like this.
And something you brought up, sorry, with the force feedback suit.
Oh, I'm okay with you interrupting me to tell me about the greatness of things that I said before.
I'm adding to it. But there's the force feedback suit, which is awesome because it adds the idea of paintball where you don't want to just jump around hilariously because you don't care if you die, because it might hurt, but you could also actually probably integrate that with the gun.
Okay, so tell me this.
If you shoot the force feedback suit, it could count as a death.
If Oculus costs $300,
yep,
and this gun costs $100, and your next phone upgrade includes... bloody hell, what's it called again? Project Tango.
Tango.
Includes Project Tango, so you could literally map out areas.
Mount it on your face, and you can have it actively map things.
Yes. Okay, so you've got Project Tango. Your force feedback suit, let's say something that, has, like vibration motors or something in it, and you wear it all over your body. Let's say that costs a few $100. So we've spent $700 now. Plus, what else do we need? It has to have sensors for the light gun. You've got your display. You've got your gun.
Some sort of battery and compute pack.
Yeah, so some kind of compute. Let's say the whole thing costs $1,000. How quickly do you drop your money on that?
I couldn't right now, but I would immediately start saving.
Yeah, me too.
Like, there's immediately.
I mean, the gameplay of this. So you go around with your phone and you like map a building, right?
And like you could map most of it, and then if you start going out of the confines of the area, if you had your phone on you somehow, it could just start mapping.
Yes.
Obviously, wouldn't be as high quality, but.
Or it could tell you, or it could pop up like a gray thing on your screen.
Yeah.
Warning: exiting the combat zone, or whatever, right?
You die in 5 seconds.
You die in 5 seconds, and they go back to the combat zone.
The whole suit starts going crazy.
Right? Or like you could create like obstacles or something. Like you could have it. I don't even know. Like the kinds of. Oh, so okay. So anyway, you go around like let's say basic example. Everyone who's playing, so you get like 40 dudes together or whatever, or ladies, whatever, goes and walks around like a forested area or something with their phones, like mapping it out. Okay, then everyone loads the map wirelessly onto their controllers, onto their guns, and then that feeds a display into your Oculus that then builds an augmented reality version with the camera on the front. It can augment the camera on the front with checkpoints, with health bars, with like heads-up display crap and menus and stuff like that. Use your gun to navigate it, and everyone like runs around in the forest. Obviously, latencies will have to be much better, and the technology is going to have to continue to improve. That, but holy crap, what an amazing gaming experience. I mean, my son, by the time he's like a teenager and is into gaming, is going to think the concept of sitting with a keyboard and mouse is ridiculous.
Well, there was a big talk recently on VR and on Oculus and stuff where hardcore gamers right now are potentially going to suck compared to casuals really soon.
Interesting.
Because if you fully integrate everything so that it no longer feels like you're using traditional computer interfaces like a keyboard and mouse to play a game, and you're playing with your body,
pro soccer player will all of a sudden be a much better
way
gamer
better at soccer than that
some
dude
couch
that's
potato.
awesome at FIFA. Yeah.
Right.
Just a really, really interesting idea.
And then when the game developer money goes towards these well, I don't know, casual, but not casual. When all the game developer goes there and those become AAA, all of a sudden it's going to become more niche to be a traditional gamer, and you're going to be the casual.
Well, then there will also be things like imagine playing Ender's Game as Ender. You're not necessarily using your physical ability, but it'll feel much more like you're actually in a situation.
I'm still making my son play Mario as his first game, though. Super Mario World. I'm like, you know what? You are going to be okay at 2D platformers. Or you are not moving on to bigger and better things.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so here's the stupidest thing I've seen in a while.
No, I had multiple requests to put this in here. This happens every once in a while.
Yeah, so I love this. 5,000 views, 657 dislikes, 50 likes. This was on the Gadget Show, and basically, you know what? Are you guys getting audio from this? Because for some reason, oh, there we go. Nope. Oh, I hope that's not. No.
I'm not sure they really want to hear it anyways.
No. It's oh, no sound, audio, something. I don't get it. I don't know why they're not getting audio from this, but it's kind of important. Basically, oh yeah, it seems to be working. No, okay. Well, they're not. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so the point is, it's stupid. So they say the death of the desktop PC is already here because of a couple things, and like some of the, oh man, you guys should just watch the video just to be entertained. So the stats they bring up are this. So by 1986, laptops only represented 2% of the computing market, whereas now they're everywhere. In 2004, we got good wireless connectivity with Wi-Fi and 3G, meaning you didn't have to be plugged into a wall to get online. Proper mobile computing was born, and in 2010, tablets came that drove desktop sales down even more. Now, this is where within their own stupid video, 3 minutes and 59 seconds in, they give an example of why the desktop no longer matters. So he's holding this tablet and he's like, this is a professional photographer, and this is the tablet that he uses instead of a desktop to preview the, oh shoot, I'm not screen sharing right now, to preview the photos that he's taking while on a shoot. So here's the photographer, yeah, there you go. Blah, 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 so this replaced his desktop. No, it didn't. What that replaced is the tiny screen on the back of the camera. You idiot.
Well,
and I don't often call someone an idiot. But it didn't replace his desktop. Yeah, okay. I'm going to run my Photoshop on this tablet because that's part of it. No, it isn't.
He's saying that he could have potentially dragged a computer there to show the photos.
Well, who would do that?
I don't know. Because I know a photographer from the UK, good friend of mine, known him for a really long time, that does the tablet thing.
Okay.
Also a crazy PC freak, has tons of them at home.
And you could do it with a laptop, sure. And that's practical. And a tablet maybe replaced a laptop in this situation, but it sure did not replace a proper computer that you're going to sit down at and get real work done at.
When I've gone to wedding shoots before tablets became a really big thing, it was like, yeah, I got a bunch of really good photos. I'll send them to you later.
The tablet has not replaced the desktop in any way, and it's absurd to think that it has. I mean, think about the way people use tablets. I could be using a tablet for this right now, and I actually could. That would be just fine. It didn't replace my desktop. I wasn't going to have a desktop here. Oh, okay, I have a desktop here, but I wasn't going to have a desktop in my lap and be referring to things.
We're not about to replace that with a tablet.
No.
That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. The way that I'll sit on my couch and browse my tablet or watch a movie on the tablet while my wife watches something that entertains her on the TV, that didn't replace a desktop. The fact that desktop sales are going down is a reflection of the decrease in improving power of desktops. It's not a mark of desktops not being necessary anymore. So basically, Gadget Show, if you guys are watching, just don't. That's all I have to say. Oh yeah, they had some other stupid thing they
It's just
said.
everything that they said in that video has been refuted 10 billion times. It's not even that important. It's fun to throw them under the bus.
Yeah,
But
it
it's
is.
just like, who cares?
They're like, desktops no longer have more storage due to 1 terabyte USB drives. And I mean, you know what? Wait, I'm going to leave the fact that the 1 terabyte USB drive from Kingston costs $1,000. I'm going to leave that out.
It almost doesn't even matter,
Because
despite that being insane.
flash storage will continue to become more and more economical, and
Yep.
that's fine. And I'm going to leave out their argument that 4G connectivity is faster than your landline internet connection. I'm going to leave out that argument as being stupid because I think that both of those things are the future. Much, much larger storage being possible with Flash, and the fact that you're going to have a super fast, super cheap connection via 4G or 5G or 6G or whatever, that is the future. But that doesn't mean we don't need a desktop still.
Yep.
Until those connections... Sorry, my nose is itchy. Gotta, that's awkward. Anyway, that doesn't mean that we're not going to need those, because until the latencies are so much lower for these connections, such that my desktop, which I'm still going to need, can utilize them.
And like, do you really trust your flash drive storage?
No, of course not. They use much, much lower grade chips that are much, much more prone to failure than something like an SSD or a hard drive.
Like, put an SSD in your laptop. Just don't buy a terabyte flash drive to replace that. Like, maybe you buy a terabyte flash drive for something, but don't do it as like storage replacement entirely permanently for your laptop, because that's nuts.
Speaking of cloud storage, and Jay's 2 cents and Barnacles are like, hey, I heard you mentioned us on the show. Thanks, buddy. We love LMG. It's like, yeah, but what they didn't realize is that I was, mentioning how much I hate them. And I think that they should join Dollar Shave Club because their facial hair is ugly.
No.
And they need One Wipe Charlie so they can clean their butts better. Dem sponsor integrations, yo.
Wow.
All right, anyway. Samsung promises, and really, this was posted by Misanthrope on the forum. Samsung promises, and I really, promises? More like threatens. Promises $500 worth of various subscriptions on the upcoming Galaxy 5, or S5, rather. Really, guys? Original article here is from TechSpot, and...
I'm so happy because I thought you cared.
And
I was like, oh, this is gonna suck.
That is basically like Firefox promising to give me $50 worth of value-add toolbars at the top of my browser. Some of the stuff
man.
included. What are they including?
1 year subscription to Bloomberg Business Week.
Okay, that's okay.
For some people.
I'm okay with that.
A mass majority of people won't care. 1 year sub to Lark.
What the hell is Lark?
I was just gonna say, I don't know what Lark is.
Maybe it's really cool.
6 month subscription to Wall Street Journal. Again, Bloomberg Business Week and Wall Street Journal. I'm getting my news from elsewhere now, guys. Sorry. 3 month premium LinkedIn account, which that's too short to really matter.
It's A, too short to matter, and B, completely irrelevant unless you're looking for a job. I mean, I don't know anyone who actually hangs out on LinkedIn. I've got a LinkedIn account, but that's for when this whole thing goes up in flames and I need to look for a real job. And 3 months of a subscription is basically that's
It's a trial.
yeah. That's a free trial.
That's not we're giving you this as money.
That's like me saying every t-shirt you buy in our merch store. Every t-shirt you buy in our merch store comes with 3 months of free Norton antivirus. That's locking you in.
Yeah.
Or comes with
especially the 1 terabyte storage.
Okay, we haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah.
Or that's like me saying that, it gets you 2 weeks of free Squarespace. Or, Hotspot Shield. Or whatever, all of our sponsors. That's the kind of thing that I gotta imagine LinkedIn is paying Samsung to include. Because they're just giving out free trials. And, that's not even the worst one. The one that really makes me mad is the 1 terabyte of storage from Bitcase. First of all, Bitcase, whatever. Like, I'd rather have the 2-year 50 gig Dropbox that they used to do, even though it's much less storage. I, relatively speaking, trust Dropbox. It's already a part of my workflow. Like, I've got it installed everywhere. And 3 months of storage? So what, I'm going to put 1 terabyte of storage in there, and then you're going to wipe it after 3 months when I don't want to pay you for it?
Ridiculous. Not gonna happen.
Samsung, what are you doing?
It's adware or whatever you...
That's
bloatware.
bloatware.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that is, okay, because Korea banned non-removable bloatware. Is this, like, the new bloatware?
Removable.
And maybe it's removable, but that doesn't make it not obnoxious.
No, exactly.
All right, we are actually, like, we've already run overtime on the show here, so I think we're just going to do a couple more things here. Windows 9 is expected to push people off Windows XP. Sources, rumored release dates indicate fall 2014 or spring 2015. And it will apparently continue the trend that Microsoft has been moving towards with Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 8.1 revised, which is coming soon, of taking the modern UI and the classic desktop UI and making them work better together.
I'm hoping it just keeps the trend going. Tick-tock, tick-tock,
Yeah, tick-tock. Hopefully Windows 9 is awesome.
Because, like, dude, if Vista was terrible, Windows 7 was awesome. XP was awesome.
Vista wasn't terrible.
Vista was
I'm
terrible.
tired of having this
You're
conversation.
the only
with you.
person that liked it on the entire planet.
Okay. Vista loyalists, represent, guys.
You're the only one.
Whatever. OCZ launches the new Z drive. This was posted on the forum by 4960X. It's PCI Express. It's available in capacities up to 3.2 terabytes, but that'll cost you a cool $6,500. And I actually want to hear from you guys. We'll do one more, maybe we'll do one more Twitter blitz before the end of the show. Would you buy an OCZ SSD? Or no, let's do a straw poll. Straw poll. Straw poll. Create one. So the question will be, would you buy an OCZ SSD before the Toshiba acquisition? And then would you buy an OCZ SSD after the acquisition? So I think it's yes before, no before, yes after, no after. And then allow multiple choices so that they can vote for before and for after. Because I want to see how perception has shifted now that they're going to be using Toshiba NAND, which is by all accounts pretty darn good. Okay. Twitch TV now allows streaming from mobile platforms, so you can play mobile games, stream them on Twitch TV. It's got support for your front camera, so people can see your mug playing your mobile games, although I think there are going to be some challenges here, like especially games where the controls are done like this, that front camera is going to move around a fair bit. Either way, I think it's cool. I wouldn't mind seeing Justin TV or, Twitch's parent, some other streaming service integrate support for the rear camera, because that'd be a really neat way to stream events or whatever else. What's up? Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Anyway.
I posted it and it just gets destroyed by Worship the Almighty Helix.
Anyway, so I think that's really cool. That's all I really have to say about that. Dell is charging 16 Great Britain pounds to install Firefox on PCs in the UK. Mozilla's like, yo, that's against our terms of service.
Yeah, for some open software it's okay because it's seen as like a servicing thing, but not for Firefox.
Now get this, Dell is saying the charge is to cover the time and labor involved, but I know for a fact that Dell images their machines, so...
Also, the cost that labor would be is insane.
Yeah, it's like it works out to like $100 an hour, assuming that you were paying $10, or assuming it takes 10 minutes to install Firefox, which it doesn't. Not to mention that installing anything where to install anything, you are supposed to be the person to accept the end user license agreement, whether you read it or not. For someone else to install something for you is technically not allowed in any situation.
That's interesting.
If it has an end user license agreement. Because someone else agreed to it for you, then shipped a computer to you that has it on it.
That's really interesting. I never even thought about that.
Well, this is something that I used to deal with working at NCIX, right? Like, that's why we couldn't install really cool, pre-installed cool stuff for people.
I wonder how, like, the Geek Squad services thing works.
Because we could put install shortcuts on the desktop, and we could say, hey, here's some cool stuff you might like. But we couldn't actually install it for people.
It's just interesting because of the Geek Squad services, which is probably a much bigger thing than NCIX. Where they can install software for you and like whatever the heck you want.
But you probably have to sign a
form. It must be, yeah, you do. Interesting. So you guys didn't have a signed form, I'm assuming. So,
folding at home. Speaking of folding at home, shout out to Whaler. because our folding at home team is awesome. Number 49 in the world right now. And when you consider that it just started like a year ago,
And some of these teams are really old.
like that's beast mode.
Yeah.
Folding at home has added a new way to fold. All you have to do is navigate to the URL, which is, here we go, folding.stanford.edu/NACL. So salt? I wonder why they made it NACL. Anyway, /NACL, and in Chrome, your computer will start folding. It has multiple modes, so you can use the light mode if you're on a laptop and you don't want it to overheat, or if you want your computer to stay 100% responsive. It only supports CPU folding at this point. You still need the full client for GPU folding, but isn't that cool? You can just leave a tab open in Chrome and you can support protein folding research, and yeah.
And like if you set it up so that that tab automatically opened when you open up the browser, which is possible,
then anytime your browser's open, you are supporting, potentially cancer research or any number of other different important things. The Linus team is 223518, by the way, so you go through a quick configuration process that has you go ahead and select your team, and you can contribute to that team. But honestly, it's not about contributing to our team, because it's just an EPEAN measuring contest anyway.
Which we have a pretty big one.
We got a pretty big EPEAN already. We don't need more EPEAN. It is more about using extra computing cycles to do something really useful with them. Do you want to go ahead and find a topic that you don't need a visual aid for? Because my battery just died.
Yeah, I saw that. Another thing that I do worry about is with this like computing kind of situation, we've seen stuff like this happen before, is if someone gets it rigged up so that a big site has you coin mining while you're on that website.
Oh, that's something I didn't even think of.
Yeah, because this type of application, it only uses your CPU, not your GPU, for the folding thing. But like
hijacking people's computers is bad.
Yeah,
in general.
so hopefully this type of thing doesn't get used more maliciously. I've seen this type of stuff before. Usually it gets shut down really quickly though. Moving on. Reddit is now donating 10% of their ad revenue, which is not huge as far as I know, like in terms of supporting Reddit as a whole. So they're actually taking a lot of the money that is keeping them alive away, which is interesting, because as far as I've seen in the past, they're like not profiting.
Yeah, and that's 10% of revenue, not profit. So
yeah, so
that's cool.
Pretty crazy that they're doing that. Apparently they're going to have an election, although Reddit is reserving the right to take the power away from the users if things get out of hand, because it's the internet.
Because they're Redditors.
And they're Redditors, so that's probably really smart that they did that. Funds will be awarded to the top 10 of elected nonprofits, which is really interesting. And that's really cool, but I do kind of worry, because Reddit's already bleeding money as far as I know. But hey, if they're surviving, that's cool.
Keurig, a coffee company, props to the OP Tyler Matthew on Linus Tech Tips forum, will use DRM in their new coffee maker to lock out the refill market. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but really? I mean, we've seen this in printers.
You see this in everything. That's why I'm not that surprised.
Yeah, we've seen this in the pro photography and pro videography and cinematography markets. We see this all the time.
3D
like
printers.
Canon, with their XA10 upgrade camera, the XA20, actually not only forces you to use Canon batteries, but even though the slot is the same and the power output is the same, they force you to use specifically XA20 batteries and not XA10 batteries. Like, just ridiculous stuff like that.
Yeah. And like I said, 3D printers, normal printers, that Canon thing that you just talked about, like this happens so much. I'm not happy about it, but...
So with unlicensed pods, the Keurig CEO confirms that the new coffee maker won't work unless you put their
licensed pod in.
This is really cool. This is from Yale.edu. Rewritable paper and ink. Okay, we're still a long way away from this mattering to someone like me, where I write things on paper so that I can like dig them up later. But this is really cool. So this new rewritable paper can be reused dozens of times. So you can actually see the document there. So there you go. So it can be reused dozens of times and simply works with water. So you'd have a water pen, you write it down, And then in the time that it takes the water to dry, typically around 22 hours, obviously less in hot environments, it'll be visible and you can read stuff on it. And so the justification for this is that they figure 90% of business information is... okay. The scientists note that while 90% of business information is retained on paper, most printed documents are read only once before being discarded. So if the idea was to print out notes for a presentation in a meeting and hand a copy to everyone, a reusable paper system like this could be invaluable.
One really cool thing that even just myself I could use it for is whenever we go to a show, I like taking show notes.
Yeah.
I always take show notes. The second I show up to a booth, I start taking notes in a little thing. I don't really need those notes immediately afterwards.
Speaking of another thing that
Any
tablets
point in time after that.
don't replace computers for, keyboards.
Yeah. Like I can't sit there on a tablet and be like, yeah, I'm keeping up with what you're saying. Like this is not gonna work. And then people have said like, yeah, use the pen thing. I hate writing on screens. It's terrible. My handwriting's bad enough already. Don't make me write on a screen. Whenever I have to like sign someone's digital signature thing, I'm just like, yup, that doesn't look anything like my signature at all.
Especially because they don't work right half the time.
Yeah, and it's like doesn't write in that one part or whatever. It's like if you ever have to verify this is me, you just failed because it doesn't look like my signature in the slightest. But whatever. I don't know. So I think it's actually really cool, and I could even use it. So if it becomes very easy to acquire, I can see myself using this stuff. Because if you even had like a few pages, whatever, that's all you really need. It's going to fade away and you can just use it again later anyways. So if I had, say, like a moleskin notebook of this paper, that would be awesome. That'd be great.
I was wrong. Twitch Plays Pokemon 1. So there you go.
Told you.
Yeah, you were right.
They're starting a new one now.
Oh, wait, did we talk about that last week? I don't remember. What else we got? Gaben's AMA. You checked it out. I actually didn't read it.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of, like, new information.
How unsurprising.
Yeah. Someone tricked him into saying that Half-Life 3 was coming. They edited their post. They said, they asked a question, and his answer was yes, and they edited it to, is Half-Life 3 coming? So that was kind of funny, but like he didn't really comment on it, and then the comment just got deleted by I think one of the moderators anyways, so it was just like, whatever. Someone asked him if on purpose he started it on the third day of the third month with 3.5 hours of notice, and he answered NO period, which is hilarious. It's 3 characters. Then all the comments under it were like, he knows exactly what he's doing. That was awesome. He did comment on VR stuff, and I know that's all I really talk about these days, but
yeah,
and it was kind of interesting. It's really long though, so be sure to check it out. You can find the VR thing more easily if you just go to the Oculus subreddit because it is a linked post there. So I recommend you just do that because it'll be a lot easier to find as that AMA is actually pretty long. A lot of his answers, and it was him and his team, or a small team, so a lot of his answers are like, yes, maybe, no. Like answering 3 questions that the person asked and then just moving on.
Right.
So it was rapid fire, which was actually good, in my opinion. Because you don't really need him to elaborate on a lot of different things.
Yeah. Verizon wants to charge gamers and streamers more for their internet service. We're really running out of time, so I don't think we're going to be able to talk about this nearly as much as I'd want to. But don't worry, guys. You can always tune into The Tech for the weekly hate on Verizon from Logan. So he covers it much better than I have the time or gumption to do. But the point is that they've been quoted saying, okay, blah, 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 blah. When it comes to downloading games and streaming movies online, it's easy to surpass 15 gigs worth of data in a day. And according to Verizon's chief executive, people that use more bandwidth downloading games, streaming movies, or playing online games should pay more to play. It is only natural that the heavy users help contribute to the investment to keep the web healthy, McAdams said during a conference call discussing net neutrality. That is the most important concept of net neutrality.
Maybe they should remember that they got that huge investment money to, like improve the internet a long time ago and then never did it.
Okay, now I'm going to do something here that you're probably not going to like.
I know.
And I'm going to say...
That's why I asked before, like, is it time to fight?
I have no problem with pay-per-use. I have no problem with services that cost more for heavier users.
Okay.
If I drive more, I buy more gas.
Yep.
Okay? If there is a finite amount of something, if there is a limit to it,
There's not of this.
hold on. If there is a finite amount of something and there's a limit to it, and I mean there are limits.
Not really.
There are
Not in the way they're talking about it. But yes, there are.
there are limits to how much internet traffic could conceivably. If every single person fired up Breaking Bad on Netflix at exactly the same time, we'd have a problem.
And they won't.
And they won't. But if they did, where my issue starts is when you don't subsidize the light users with the money you're taking from the heavy users.
If it was drastically cheaper? If it was drastically cheaper for the light users, then it might make a little bit more
So
sense.
ICBC, our Crown-owned, actually, are they private now? Can't remember. Anyway,
they're still
ICBC,
Crown.
our monopolistic insurance provider here in British Columbia, introduced some stiffer penalties for people who get tickets. So you don't actually have to get in an accident, but you can just be speeding and your insurance premiums will go up. And they said this was to make the roads safer and more affordable for the safe drivers. To which I said, where is my discount? You're taking more money from somebody and then eating it, presumably?
Well, ICBC is a giant piece of crap.
Yes. So if Verizon wants to do this, if they want to say, okay, we're going to charge the heavier users, in addition to charging guys like Netflix, just for
Yeah.
the privilege of being allowed to deliver their movies to Verizon users. If Verizon is going to charge the heavy users more, then I want to see free internet for web surfing and email. That's my challenge to you, Verizon. If you do that, rock on, man. If you truly make it pay per use or not pay at all per light user, and you are actually genuinely trying to innovate and deliver a more connected experience to the world, and you just need to figure out how to collect the money to make that happen, and you're not being evil about it, then that's fine. But if you're just figuring out ways to charge more, and you're not figuring out ways to give anything back, then you can screw off.
Yeah, essentially.
So you're not going to fight
And
with me.
well, it's completely bullshit on more levels than that though, because they're not necessarily going outside of terms. All they're saying is, yeah, if you use 15 gigs in a day, that's a lot. Whoever just put it in slow mode, don't do that. I've said that like 10 billion times.
Yeah, we don't really do the whole slow mode thing. All right, I think I have one more thing to talk about before we do the announcement for the winners for the LTT 2014 update giveaways. So those are coming.
I have more to say on the Verizon topic, but we don't have time
Do you?
right now.
You can go ahead.
It's
like
long.
6:30 already.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't know what I want to add it to like the notes for next week. Maybe
Okay.
we'll discuss it some more because I think it's a really good debate topic, even if it's not necessarily news next week.
Yeah.
So Razer has released a keyboard with what they're calling Razer mechanical key switches. Now the internet has exploded in a way that I actually didn't expect. I knew that the keyboard dorks of the world, two of which are sitting on this couch, would have a lot to say about something like this. But I didn't expect the enthusiast community in general to have as much of a problem with what Razer's doing as they do. So what's your take on the... Okay, so to be clear, there we go. That's exactly where we want to be. That's what we want to look at. This key switch, see that? Oh, it doesn't say cherry on it. Looks an awful lot like a cherry key switch. The housing, the mount on the top for the keycap, the LED positioning right there, but it says Razer on it. So what Razer's done is they have stopped using Cherry MX keys for their Black Widow Ultimate line of keyboards. They are not specifying who is manufacturing them, but the internet already knows who it is. It's Kale. And they are saying that they have done their own work with respect to R&Ding a switch that is better for gaming because of its higher actuation point and faster reset once you let go of the switch, once you let go of the key. so that you are able to more quickly activate it in a repetitive fashion. They are allowed to do this because Cherry's patent on the MX switches has run out at this time, so other manufacturers, while there were counterfeit switches before, are now free without being slapped with a counterfeit lawsuit.
It's been open for a little while.
But now
and
it's
the
happening.
counterfeit thing hasn't been a problem for a really long time.
I mean, there were... Okay. There were counterfeit
But
keyboards.
not what people would say recently.
Okay. So, anyway, this is the first major, brand name manufacturer to bring a keyboard that is using switches manufactured by Kale, although Razer says that in the Chinese factory they have their own QC staff overseeing the production, but they are the first major manufacturer to bring Kale-made switches to market. I think that was pretty much all there was to say. What's your thoughts?
There's been people wondering if it's actually going to fix the problem with blues because they're not entirely sure about the movement. Because what some people wanted to actually see was a movement of the reset point.
Yeah, they didn't move the reset point.
Yeah, and there's a few other things going around, which I guess we'll figure it out when people get more testing done.
Yep.
We don't have time to benchmark a keyboard.
Well, Edsel's got it at home right now. I think he's playing around with it.
Has he ever noticed the problem with blues?
I'm not sure. I thought so.
Has
I was
he?
talking to him about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check with him, but he's got it, and he has Black Widow 2013 as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, so go ahead.
Other than that, one thing that people have to kind of get over is the oh my god, it's made by Kale, it's terrible thing. Because Kale doesn't necessarily make terrible switches. More than one person has done a dissection. Ripster, more specifically, you can look up his on Kale switches, and they're fairly well in tune with the Cherry patent. And if you're that well in tune with the Cherry patent, it's probably going to be kind of fine. Now there's things you can question about, whereas what's their manufacturing tolerances? Are they the same as Cherry's manufacturing tolerances?
They're saying they're better.
They're saying they're better, but we don't. I
don't have 1,000 keyboards to...
Exactly. There's a lot of, we can't really prove this going on.
I think the only thing... And that's the thing, is there's a lot of, this bothers me because I feel like this, or this doesn't bother me because I feel like this. But I think the only objective thing that I can look at and say that I'm bothered by is that I know for a fact Kale switches are cheaper than Cherry's, and the keyboard costs the same.
Yeah.
And otherwise hasn't changed. I mean, I think this was an opportunity for Razer to make mechanical keyboards more affordable for gamers, and
someone else will just swoop in and do it.
Yeah, and someone else already has. I mean, you can buy a TT Sports Poseidon Z for $80, $70 bucks, I think, and that, or is it 80? I think it's 80, and that is a blue backlit Kale mechanical keyboard, reasonably well built.
Yeah.
So, there you go. The internet is up in arms. Guys, do check out the video if you haven't had a chance yet. Razer Black Widow Ultimate 2014 is the name of the video. Obviously, it's on Linus Tech Tips channel. Where I cover some of the reasons that Razer gave for switching to a Chinese manufacturer, and I cover some of the reasons that I'm aware of.
Someone just said Linus Media Group gets paid for their opinions, in quotation marks.
Opinions?
I think someone's claiming we got paid off by Razer.
For the video?
I don't know. We get...
That's funny, because I actually had Corsair. I actually had both Corsair and Cooler Master contact me about this video. And Corsair really liked it.
And it's every single video we ever do. They're like, well, you just got paid off. You got the money to make the video.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Not so much. I'm excited to see...
Speaking of being paid off, One Wipe Charlie's butt wipes for men. I hadn't opened them yet, so the reason I opened them was I wanted to know.
They smell kind of good.
Peppermint infused. I wanted to know how big they were, because if you're gonna tell me that I can get this done with one wipe, okay, well they're thick. I'll give them that, so you might not get much leach through. I don't know about one wipe. Although the instructions do say that it's not, even though they're called One Wipe Charlies, you can't necessarily achieve the desired results with just one wipe. So Use as many wipes as necessary to get the job done, but try not to flush more than a couple at a time. And dry off with TP. And then the lid is actually resealable. It uses a nice little adhesive here. I'm sorry, I'll stop now.
You don't need to inspect the packaging on the one wipe chart.
I'm a professional unboxer.
You were in a professional unboxer.
And you know what? That's actually, it's funny. Okay, I paid off to make the Razer review. And it's funny because Min, their CEO, specifically like took a shot at me for one of the things that I said in that video, which was that I think their packaging is deceptive to their customers. And I think that not labeling something 2013 or 2014 edition when you're putting Cherry MX switches and Chinese-made switches is... I think Razer's rationale here is that we're QCing them, they're of the same quality, and I get that. But when you revise something, you tell your customers.
Yeah.
You don't try to obscure that, in my mind. So
That's been the biggest problem with Kale switches, though.
Right.
Is that people are like, oh no, it's fine. We say Cherry mechanical switches for everything else, and then here we're just saying mechanical switches. And I'm like, well, like, just come on.
Yeah.
Like, we're not saying they're worse.
On the other hand, look at it from the manufacturer's perspective. So let's take Thermaltake. Okay, so the Poseidon Z just says mechanical key switches. It doesn't say Cherry. Why would you say Kale?
You don't have to on your big branding.
Well, why would you?
But like, if people ask questions, don't just hush up and hide in the corner.
Oh well, okay, they're not doing that.
I know they're not,
right.
But it happens a lot.
Right.
And they kind of are actually no.
Oh,
Razer.
Oh no, Razer didn't tell me they're being manufactured at Kale. I had to dig around for that.
Yeah, and by saying they kind of are, I'm meaning by not changing branding at all.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was saying Thermaltake hasn't done that because they are, even though on the product page you're not going to find any reference to Kale. But I think that's probably a good thing because you look at what happened with Cherry being the one who owns all the brand equity here. That's what people look at. They go on monoprice.com and they see Cherry MX Blue keyboard. It's not a particularly great keyboard. It's not real well built. So the guys who are building really great keyboards, like Ducky or like Cooler Master or whatever else.
The problem is that Kale is making switches in the same with the same differential.
But forget Kale. Hold on a second.
So they're saying like it's a red. So they'll be like red mechanical switch, and then everyone's looking for Cherry red mechanical switches.
Okay, that is not great.
But that's like what everyone's doing. That's why this is a problem. Like they have to tell you, and they're not. Most of them.
Okay, but hold on a second. Okay, this is where I'm going with this. So the keyboard makers have let Cherry hold all the brand equity and have made the Cherry keyboard the desirable thing, even though Cherry's own keyboards aren't really that great.
They screwed that up.
Hold on! But the direction they're trying to go is they're trying to make the product standalone. And that's not a bad direction.
No, but they're also hiding something.
Do you have to tell everyone everything?
Have it on the
Logitech
spec sheet.
have to tell you what what material this is, as long as it's like really good and it's really high quality and Logitech mice are great.
But that's never been something that people purchase off of.
Right. So
they have made it so that you're purchasing based off a Switch, and it's not like this, to be completely honest. This is not as important as a Switch.
But everyone tries to do the same thing. You look at the way Dell wants to sell you Apple. Great example.
And we know Apple's approach is terrible for this.
What do you mean terrible for this?
Not changing naming, so you have no idea what's going on.
No, not changing naming. I'm talking about Apple taking the perception of the product and making it about the product, not about the components inside. Apple barely even mentions Intel.
You can still look up a spec sheet.
Sort of. They don't tell you who makes the motherboard.
Yeah.
And that's a very important part of a PC. They don't tell you who makes the power supply. It's a very important part of a PC. What they're doing is...
But when there's like one component that really matters, and that's the only one.
That is not the only thing that matters about a keyboard.
That's the main thing that matters about a keyboard.
I would argue drivers can matter as much about a keyboard.
So what are you going to do?
What do you mean?
With drivers?
What are you going to do with drivers?
Drivers don't show up on a spec sheet.
Well, features can.
Yes, they can.
And if you have a broken driver and the feature doesn't work, then
but you can't be
terrible.
Like, we have a broken driver on your spec sheet. You can say we use something different for your Switch. Those are not applicable differences.
I don't think we're going to reach a conclusion
I don't
here.
think we are either.
And I think we should just draw our winners.
Probably.
All right. Okay, fine. All I'm trying to say is I see why they're doing that. They're making it about the product,
Hiding
not about the
something.
components.
They're hiding something.
Okay, okay, there's a difference between actively hiding something, and I would argue
Not
that
showing it on your spec
I
sheet.
would argue Razer's hiding something.
And okay.
There is a difference between hiding something and not saying something.
But not when another thing comes in where the Apple customer is often different than the person who's looking for a high-end, very specific mechanical keyboard.
Okay, and if they're looking for a very specific mechanical keyboard, and the manufacturer makes the argument that regardless of who made the metal piece that goes in the back, or who made the key switch, or whatever else, we are delivering you the Uberly Haxor Keyboard 5000, and you shouldn't care because we're doing a great job of either one of them and you won't be able to tell the difference, then does it matter anymore?
Yes.
So why?
Because when you're shopping, okay, when you're shopping for a keyboard, let's go look.
I know how people shop now. I'm saying how
Because
people
those
will
are
shop.
the major, massive, noticeable differences on keyboards.
Mm-hmm.
There are things on keyboards that are very important.
But what if you don't want the major, massive, noticeable difference on your
Doesn't
keyboard?
matter what
Hold
you
on,
want.
no.
That's
What if
what
you...
makes the
okay,
difference.
wait. What if you don't want the major, massive, noticeable difference on your keyboard to be about someone else's thing? What if you want the major, massive, noticeable difference to be that this is the Uberly Haxor 5000 and it's better than the other
So
ones?
make that all your branding. And when someone dives through your webpage and goes to the spec sheet, it should still say what switch it is.
Why? Apple doesn't say what motherboard's in it.
No one gives a blank bleep.
They don't say what
Thing.
SSD it is. These are phenomenally important things, and people do care, and
Not
people tear them
nearly
apart.
as much.
And people tear them apart, and they find out, and you'll find it on iFixit.com, and that all happens. And that'll happen with this too. It already did.
So do that over generations.
Well, you have to do it at some point.
Do that over generations.
Why?
Slowly push it back. Right now, don't have it as your big marketing, because right now it's your big marketing. Bring it down to in your first blurb. Then maybe bring it down to the spec sheet eventually.
Why?
And then when you remove it from the spec sheet, everyone will murder you because you're an idiot.
You what? Why?
Because you're looking at a completely different crowd of people. These are the people that want the spec sheet.
I would argue that Razer caters to a more mainstream crowd.
I still don't really know if that's true because they're massive, major feeling differences.
Okay.
Do you like reds?
Look at the comments.
Do you like reds?
No, I don't like reds.
Do you like browns?
No, I don't.
So would you
Oh, wait,
like
yeah,
to...
I like browns. What are you talking
I
Okay, yeah,
need to
sorry.
screw that up. So would you like to know which one it comes with?
Yes.
Would you notice a difference between a red and a brown more than two different brands of SSD?
Yes. Right, but that's not how they want people to shop.
But that's how you have to shop. It's such a
No, it
noticeable
isn't.
difference.
That's how you have to shop now.
That's like saying, okay, BMW offers a car. Oh, it just showed up and it's a truck. But
No,
it
it
doesn't
isn't.
matter because that's what you should like.
It's like BMW saying this is the X3. And the X3 comes with whatever delivers the horsepower we said it does, and the torque we said it does, with the fuel economy we
But
said it
those
does.
are specs that they're telling you it does.
Right.
That's like a spec of what
And
switch it
Razer's
is.
saying, here's a key... You don't get it. Razer's saying, here's a key switch that actuates at this point, clicks in a tactile way, sounds like this, and
So
they're
it's
giving you
harder,
the specs.
Harder to understand specs.
That's not the manufacturer's problem.
You're making it actually less mainstream then. Because you're saying
How so?
Razer caters to the mainstream audience.
Yeah, they're saying this is a gaming keyboard that has tactile feedback and clicks. That's all the mainstream audience will ever need to know.
What does that mean if you haven't typed on one before? If you ask, if you look online, people will be like, these are the different typing experience of these colors. Now you can shop for whatever you want.
Uh-huh.
Now it's a green. What the hell
So
does
now
that
it'll
mean?
be-
There's already a green in existence.
Now it'll be...
If you see a Razer key switch, which is in green already, because it's a Razer key switch, and that makes sense because that goes along with their branding. And then you go look up green mechanical key switches. You're going to get cherry switches, which green mechanical cherry switches are completely, massively different.
So now the way it'll work is, what's the typing experience like on the Black Widow Ultimate 2014?
Which is really confusing.
That's... Okay, it might be confusing to you.
Hopefully that changes.
Because you're a keyboard dork.
No, I'm not saying it's not confusing to me though. I'm saying it's really confusing on the internet because there's going to be a ton of flying around crazy
There will
information.
be, but, I mean,
because people are going to hate on it.
You look at all the flying around information about Razer. You look at the comments on the video about how blah blah blah, hate this, it's
Tons of
unreliable,
work, tons
that.
of whatever. Yeah.
That doesn't stop Razer from being enormous.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. The internet can be all butthurt about this, but at the end of the day, Razer will change the way people shop for keyboards.
Hopefully.
Or I don't even think hopefully. I mean, I don't disagree with you that I want to know what switch is on a bloody keyboard. That's not the argument we're having. The argument we're having is that from the company's perspective, and it's a smart business move, people should shop for a keyboard, not for a switch. That's how they want people to shop.
But then their main branding is a Switch.
Their main branding is a switch because they have to talk about it. They have no choice. They can't say, here's the keyboard, because that's how people shop for keyboards right now based on the Switch. So they're talking about this Switch a lot. And they're talking about, I mean, really, their marketing is really about how similar it is to the last one they had, which everyone knows is a Cherry MX Blue.
Then they've screwed up some things very majorly then, though.
Okay, look at it this way. What about when they stopped using Omron switches on their mice? Do you even remember that?
Yes.
Okay, you do. Does the internet at large
Probably
remember
not.
that?
Okay, with this page, all I care about is that one. I don't care about this one.
The green switch versus the orange switch.
Because green switches exist.
Okay, I agree with you that they should have used colors that don't exist.
And I understand green is their branding.
And I understand green is their branding too. And I agree that it is going to create confusion. But I don't disagree with their move of making it about the product.
Yeah,
and not
no,
about
I get
the
that.
component level.
But
Okay.
they would have to do, and like that's why I don't care as much about the orange one.
Right. Because at least it's a different color
It's
that
a
Cherry
different-
doesn't have.
And if they used something that was different for this one, I wouldn't really care about that either. Because at least when someone goes to this keyboard, they're not going to see green switch and expect this super crazy heavy,
Right.
ridiculous switch that a lot of people don't like
Right.
because it's too heavy.
But I mean, there was a limit to how many colors there are too.
I know.
And
I know.
Cherry already has
It has
black,
a lot
red,
of
blue,
them, and
green,
it's like
clear,
and
red,
gray, and
gray,
dark gray, and
freaking
light gray,
like.
and yeah, no,
And
I
that's
get
a problem.
that. Yeah, and
mean-
that is, and a lot of them are out of service now, and most people don't know they exist. But still,
So I don't think you and I necessarily disagree as much as I initially thought we did.
I don't agree with how they're doing it. They could do it if they just do, because like there's information on their Switch, they tell you what it is, but it's
Yeah.
extremely deceptive. Because when you're reading this, you're not going, oh, like there's standard mechanical switch actuation. Like what does
Yeah,
that mean?
but I mean, there's legal reasons that they can't
I
say
know.
Cherry Switch.
I know, but
and you know
then
what? I think
that's-
they probably would have liked to say that.
Cherry switch?
Yeah,
I could see that.
but legally you can't do that.
Yeah, because you're gonna have tons of problems. Like I get
So-
that, but then it's still really deceptive that it's green.
Yeah, I don't like that it's.
Luckily,
green.
it's not blue.
Yeah, if they
Because
ma-
holy crap, if it was blue, that would be
Well,
brutal.
okay.
But green is still popular enough that it's still a well-known switch. And if I came to this site, honestly, if I came to this site and it didn't say Razer's first mechanical switch, even if it did, honestly, I would just fully expect that they rebranded, that they paid Cherry to rebrand their switches.
Right.
Because that
Guys, this is
happens
the
so
page we're
much.
looking at. Sorry, I should have shown you this ages ago.
Because they look like cherry switches. Because they're basically cherry switches.
Want to know something funny? This diagram of the key switch
Yeah.
actually appears to be the exact diagram
Yeah.
with the colors changed
Yeah.
of a Cherry key switch.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of amusing.
Yeah. Like if I wasn't looking super closely and I looked through this, I'm not gonna go, okay, blah, blah. I'm gonna go, oh, it's a green switch, and then move on. I would just assume that it was a cherry green.
Then in that case, wouldn't it be better if they called it a blue and they just called it a Razer blue switch?
No, because then I would think well, I don't think it would be as big of a deal. I wouldn't be
Okay.
as mad when it showed up because I wouldn't be able to notice a difference. But if
Right.
I noticed it was different in the end, I would again just be like, well, that's really deceptive.
So
and I
they-
think no, because Cherry has green ones.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they said it was a blue switch, if they could have legal problems. But I don't think Cherry trademarked the idea of a blue switch.
No, and they didn't. And the other brands that are looking at using Kale switches are planning to maintain the color scheme.
Oh, God.
So it'll be blue switch versus Cherry MX blue switch.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be some people. Okay, but here, hold on a second. There will be some people who are deceived.
My browser froze.
But I will make the argument that those people were going to be the value shoppers who weren't going to pay the extra $10 or $15
At first, I would have probably been deceived over this.
You think so?
I wouldn't have looked at it long enough. Maybe
But then,
I
in
looked
that
at it-
case, are they doing the internet a favor by making such big fanfare out of the fact that now it's a Razer Switch?
Well, it's right. it's Razer.
I know.
Everything they do
But then is that something that they've done to redeem themselves?
It might help, to
It's
be
like,
completely honest.
we're not using cherry switches. At least they're saying that then.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like and that's going to help a lot because at least that would maybe make. Honestly, I wouldn't have looked at it that closely, but it maybe might have helped me look at it more closely.
Because you've looked into it now, and now
Well,
you know.
I've looked into it now because you wanted me to help you with the video.
Can you imagine if they'd done Black Widow 2014, no packaging change, with blue switches?
Yeah,
but not calling them Cherry MX blue switches and making them Kales.
I already said that would have been
terrible.
ridiculous. Luckily, it's green, which is slightly less common.
Yeah.
But it's still a problem because a lot of people still know what greens are. We've done coverage on greens. It's not like clears or something else, which is even less common. It's still it's hard to get, but people do make keyboards with green switches in them. I wish they picked a different color. It's still deceptive calling it like it looks identical. And honestly, if you were untrained, maybe you didn't really know Cherry very well. If you saw this standard mechanical switch, what is telling you that that's a Cherry switch? Maybe you're thinking it's some other brand.
In fact, I think that is a different brand. They use standard a little bit interchangeably.
Yeah, which is causing another problem.
Cherry MX. So guys, if you go to the comparison chart between Razer mechanical switches and standard mechanical switches, this actuation point is compared to Cherry with the manufacturing tolerances. This versus Reset is compared to Cherry, and this appears to be being compared to Topers because Cherry has a 50 million
I didn't even notice
keystroke lifespan on their MX series. So like they seem to be kind of, I don't know, using. Oh, sorry, I'm not screen sharing anymore. They seem to be kind of using the numbers that are convenient here a little bit. I'm not super pleased with that, but there you go. All right. I think people have been sitting here listening to us argue, not because they want to, but because they want to know who won the big giveaway. So there's one of the draws that unfortunately we couldn't really do live because of the phenomenally tedious nature of determining the winner of the person who posted the comment for the Crate Computer. Like, oh man. So what we had to do was we had to figure out how many comments per page, and because YouTube no longer allows us to just key in a page number to go to a page of comments, we actually had to click show more to get to the right page. So we had to determine how many per page, how many comments there were, then we had to key the number of pages into random.org, click it that many times to get to that page, and then do another random.org entry between them to find the winning entry. And you guys wonder, like I had people messaging me on the 28th.
Wait, wasn't drawn yet.
Have you announced the winner yet? I'm like,
no.
No, I have not. Thank you for asking. In fact, the fact that we got this done so quickly is sort of magical. All right, so...
It took me all morning. How did we get this done so quickly? Working all freaking day.
Linus Media Group, where you click show more in the browser. And that's your actual job.
Listen to crazy dance techno and just dunk, 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 dunk. Because I, of course, didn't get page 1. Because that would have been way too
wouldn't that
easy.
have been awesome?
Yeah.
All right. Here it is, guys.
Now, is there a thing over the... Yeah. So, I don't know how you...
I don't know how to pronounce the name. But here we go. You guys ready? Announcing the winner. There you go. That is the winning comment. Lucas, and I'm not even going to try it the last name.
Is it Mool?
Mool? Maybe.
I'm going to go with Mool.
We can make fun of his name all we want because we're giving him a computer.
$3,000. It's $3,000, isn't it? $3,000 computer?
Yeah. A few $1,000 computer. So Lucas is, or 2,500? Something.
I don't know. It's a
$3,000.
lot. It's
$3,000.
baller. Yeah,
$3,000. You are the winner. Congratulations. I will need you to, oh my goodness. Did you save where the comment is? Is it up on your screen still? Did you message him?
I have his account open.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're cool. I also emailed you his account.
Okay, we will send you a message through YouTube because that's the only real way we can contact people who enter contests on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
So please check your YouTube messages.
So with that out of the way, remember there were 2 additional branches of this contest, the influencer parts. So we got 184 entries for the influencer contest. So one of them is if you have more than 10,000 followers on a given platform, then you can post about our giveaway and you will be entered for a chance to win a Sony Ultrabook. Then, if you got someone who has more than 10,000 followers to post about it and they credit you, you were entered in a draw for a GTX Titan. So, which one should we draw first?
One thing to address in the Twitch comments, my full name is not Lucas. You can even ask this guy. I get pissed when he calls me Lucas. My full name is Luke. I am not Lucas Moole. It's not a thing.
Yeah. And guys, if we were going to fake it, do you think we'd come up with a name that's
that we
like...
can't pronounce?
That's like... Oh, no. It should have been like my name backwards. So it's just like, Sunelwind!
From the faraway land of... I can't even... What is Twitch backwards?
Yeah. It's like, bless you. All right. So someone says unsubscribe and unfollow. Yeah, it's always like that. All right. So I got random.org. Oh, I just closed random.org. Come on.
Fail.
I got random.org going here, and we are going to pick. Which one should we do first?
I don't know.
1 to 184.
Titan?
Titan? You want to do the Titan first?
Titan.
All right.
Titan.
So let's do the Titan first. Generate 9. So one of the first people.
You're screen sharing that.
Yeah, I'm screen sharing, guys. So 9 is the viewer Denzian2. Denzian2 had it shared by Twisted Duck Games in a YouTube video. That was the first YouTube video created with a call out for the contest.
Cool.
So congratulations, Denzian. All right. Now we're doing our second draw. This is for the Ultrabook for an influencer.
Right.
64! All right, here we go.
Nintendo 64.
All right, here we go. Line 64. Oh boy.
Oh man.
Teofel Shundi
Two full shindy?
has 1,100 followers on Facebook and posted sharing our giveaway and is the lucky winner of the Ultrabook. So congratulations to everyone who won. Congratulations to everyone who shared. We had some pro basketball player share it.
Yeah.
We had the actor who played Napoleon Dynamite share it. It was amazing how many people shared this giveaway. It was actually fantastic. Chris Perillo shared it. He was actually the only other YouTuber who shared it on a platform that counted.
No.
Yes. Barnacles and Jay's 2 cents.
Only other tech YouTuber.
Oh, the only other YouTuber that I know. Everyone else I know. Lou from Unbox,
well, there was other YouTubers that we know.
Yeah. Okay, so the guys that I know in person.
Yeah.
Okay, are you happy now?
Yeah.
So the guys that I know in person, none of them shared it, because I think they were mad at me, because everyone and their dog was messaging them constantly. Asking them to share this thing. So I think, who was it?
People were messaging me.
Someone favorited the person's tweet or something. And I was like, yeah, you're going to have to tell him that he's going to have to retweet it. And then they just didn't. So I think they were super butthurt at me for running the contest that way. So I think next time what we would do is we'd the guys that I know really well and I know everyone's going to go after, like Lou and Marcus and stuff like that. I'll just be like, look, these guys don't count. Go find someone new. And the people that got creative about it and found pro gamers to do it or whatever else, they got entries and had a chance to win. So congratulations to the winners again. And I think we're done with the show, everyone. That was a really long show. Holy crap. Thanks for watching, everyone.